Houston-Dallas rivalry. And while the two cities have battled on the playing field for years, the stakes have never been higher than they are today as
From Globe Life Park in Arlington, Texas, Root Sports brings you Houston Astros baseball. Tonight it's Game 2 of this 4-game battle for the top spot in the AL West. The Houston Astros meeting the Texas Rangers. Good evening, everybody, on a pretty night here in Arlington. Bill Brown, along with Alan Ashby and Julia Morales, comes along in just a few minutes. The Rangers won the opener of the series last night, 5-3. They are within a half game of first. That's the closest they've been to first place since April 17th. Ash?
Continued struggles on the road. That's really what it's coming down to for the Astros right now. They continue to get good pitching, but the bats up and down.
Several players are not available because of minor injuries tonight, but 2 hot bats in September. Here's number 1, Colby Rasmus.
Guys, they really need. Colby Rasmus has been in and out of the lineup at times, but his bat with 19 home runs has been a big plus for the team. As you watch a couple of his recent dingers, this one in Oakland at the start of this road trip, and that's about where the gummy bears started getting slammed down the throat. Jake Marisnik on the other side is also swinging the bat quite well. Almost had one last night. He hit a bomb in Oakland as well as he got to 9 home runs, trying to get in that double-digit home run club. Last night hit this ball just left of that 390 mark, very close, but he also was able to score a run, a key run at the time with that athletic ability. He is some kind of athlete and almost made a play late in the game on the fielder ball in center.
Coming up next, the battle for the Silver Boot continues. The Rangers lead the season series 9-4. They can clinch the boot tonight, but there's a whole lot more at stake, and we'll get to that in just a moment. Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. Visit us at geico.com or call 1-800-947-AUTO. And by Southwest Airlines. Book your low fare now at southwest.com. It is another breezy night here at Globe Life Park in Arlington, where the Rangers have won 16 of their last 20. They're only 2 games above 500, though, at home for the season at 35-33. They have won 5 of 7 here from the Houston Astros. And we have more from Julia Morales on the field.
Thanks a lot, Brownie. Everyone's watching this series, right? And everyone wants to know what the players and the skipper is saying after a loss like yesterday. Obviously very frustrated, missed opportunities, a couple of errors for this team. They saw the lead shrink in the AL West. Well, here's what the skipper had to say after last night's game in our Geico quote of the day. A.J. Hinch coming out in his quote. Being our team is ready to play. We're fine. We're playing really close games. We've got a couple of losses this week. We're not spooked. We're a Major League Baseball team, and we'll show up tomorrow ready to play. And boy, does he have a point in talking about how this team has played and how they're losing those tough losses. There are some really close games mixed in there. So these guys saying last night the lead is going to fluctuate a lot. There's still a lot of games left. You can't really worry where they sit every single day until the end of the season. You just got to worry about where you were at the end of the regular season, guys.
Thanks, Julia. And we check the Astros lineup now, brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Derek Holland on the mound. George Springer leads it off. He's in right field with Jose Altuve at second base. Carlos Correa plays shortstop. The cleanup man is DH Evan Gattis. With Colby Rasmus in left field. Chris Carter at first base. Jonathan Villar at third base. Hank Conger, the catcher. Jake Marisnick in center field.
And on the mound, another one of those left-handers goes out there against the Astros. Derek Holland, 28 years of age. Holland has missed a lot of the season this year, made only 6 starts. So number 7 coming up tonight, a guy who has a tendency of giving up the long ball, and he's allowed 6 this year in 37 innings. And the Astros have touched him in 8 starts over his career against Houston, 3-2 against Houston. Defensively for the Astros, or rather for the Texas Rangers, Joey Gallo, youngster out in left field, Delano DeShields in center, and Shin-Soo Choo in right. Left side of the infield is Adrian Beltre and Elvis Andrus on the right. Rougned Odor and Mitch Moreland behind the plate. Chris Jimenez.
$18 games to go for the Houston Astros, and the Bushes are here. Nice to see them. We haven't seen them at a game when the Astros have been here for a while. They have long been good baseball fans. George Springer gets it started for the Astros. George last night drove in a run, going 0 for 4 with a walk. And he's now played 162 games in his major league career. He lines one off the glove of Elvis Andrus, and it carries on out to the left fielder. So that's a leadoff single for Springer.
I love what we just saw right there. George Springer aggressively going after the first strike he sees and hanging out a shot. That's the kind of swing that can provide some offensive impact for the Astros, driving in runs. That's what George Springer needs to bring. And now let's take a look at the Super Bowl replay brought to you by Mattress Firm. And you can see ever so close for Elvis Andrus to haul that line shot in.
Springer aboard to get it started. Jose Altuve has been on a 5-game hitting streak, and he's hit .379 against lefties this season. Holland checking Springer, who has 14 steals in 18 attempts. It's 87 degrees at game time. Altuve is tied for the major league lead in hits with 176. .314 is his average. That's 4th best in the American League. He hit his 12th homer last night, and he takes strike 1. Phil Cuzzy is the home plate umpire. Altuve has strung together multi-hit games here recently. He's gone 9 for his last 22. In the last 5 games, he has 6 extra base hits. Last night had a first inning homer and a 7th inning single, going 2 for 5. And the throw goes over. The Astros stole a base last night. For the season series, they're 13 for 13 against the Rangers. The Astros have lost 8 of their last 12. They're 10 games above 500. Way outside from Derek Holland. 1 ball, 1 strike. In Holland's career against the Astros, he's 3-2 with a 3.64 ERA. He started a game against the Astros here. It was the Rangers home opener. April 10th, he lasted 1 inning, giving up 1 run, went on the DL after that with a left shoulder problem, the 60-day DL. 2-1. So the fact that he's been hurt a lot of this season has limited him to 37 1/3 major league innings, in effect giving the Rangers a fresh arm here in September. Altuve pokes a grounder to first. There's 1 out, and now a run down on Springer as Moreland gets the ball back from Andrews. A double play. 3-6-3 as Moreland started it.
Let's take a look at the key. Well, this is not okay. Yeah, that's just an unfortunate circumstance there for the Astros, as Altuve tries to protect and hits one right at the first baseman Moreland, a good defensive player.
Carlos Correa comes up. Correa had 2 hits last night, 2 for 5 in the game.
Let's take a look now at the key to the game, brought to you by your Houston area Chevy dealers. We're talking about the Astros loosening up that long ball swing. They've hit 13 home runs in 7 games on this road trip. And the other element that comes into play again for Holland, he's allowed 7 home runs in 8 starts, just 47 innings against the Astros. So the home run really statistically should be coming into play for the Astros tonight.
Holland's 28 years old. He was drafted in 06. He's from Newark, Ohio. Last year he was limited to just 6 major league games after having knee surgery. 1 ball, 1 strike to Correa. And Holland is one of the World Series tested Rangers, as was last night's starter Cole Hamels. 2 balls and a strike, and as the national media focus on this 4-game series, there are more and more stories and comments about the World Series baptism under fire for these Ranger players compared to the young Astros team. It's a liner into the gap in right center field. Extra bases for Correa. He legs it into second, and he's going to pull up there with a 2-out double. 18th double for Correa.
Sequences can mean so much. You get George Springer hanging out a line shot for a hit. This rope into the gap in right center field, but right in between that double play grounded into, and feels like, certainly on the road for the Astros, that it's about time to start having this thing turn around.
Good swing of the bat by Correa, taking that one out to right center to the wall. The Astros last night were 1 for 9 with runners in scoring position. Now Dallas native Evan Gattis with a .237 average, 23 homers, 75 runs batted in. Will try to drive in Correa and smacks one in the hole. There's a slip by the shortstop Andrews. A throw in time to get the out. And it's no runs, 2 hits and a man left. No score. The inning. Now we get to the Texas Rangers starting lineup now. A club which is 76 and 67. Starting with center fielder Delino DeShields. In right field, batting second, Shin-Soo Choo. The DH is Prince Fielder in the 3 spot. The cleanup man is third baseman Adrian Beltre. With Mitch Moreland at first base, Rougned Odor at second, Elvis Andrus the shortstop, Joey Gallo in left field tonight, Chris Jimenez the catcher.
On the mound for the Astros, it's Colin McHugh, 16 and 7. He's on a nice run right now. He's won 3 in a row. He's got some intriguing numbers against the Texas Rangers. He's 3-0 in 3 starts, despite allowing a .320 batting average to the Rangers hitters.
Collins coming off an 11-5 win at Oakland, in which he gave up 6 hits and 5 earned runs in 5 1/3 innings. Delino DeShields gets it started. And he whacks the first pitch into left field. So a similar start to the Astros first inning with Springer lining a hit to left.
Hitting shoes have been firmly laced up for the Astros defensively. Colby Rasmussen left, Jake Marisnick in center, George Springer in right. Left side of the infield, Jonathan VR and Carlos Correa. On the right, Jose Altuve and Chris Carter, as Hank Conger gets another start behind the dish.
Now one of the hottest hitters in the last few weeks in Major League Baseball, Shin-Soo Choo, 257 for the season. 18 homers, 67 runs batted in, not indicating his recent work with the bat. He has sizzled. Last night 0 for 3. He was hit by a pitch. And that's up for ball 1. Rangers are 7th in runs scored in the American League. But because their pace has picked up offensively, Choo is getting a lot of credit. He's been at the forefront of that. Runner goes. Pitches a ball. The throw is launched into center field, but DeShields does not get up and head for third base. Carlos Correa standing there and had his glove on his leg. Not sure if he was deking him or what was going on, but DeShields did not get up and go to third.
Well, we've mentioned it many times. Maybe even a surprise that a number of clubs haven't tried to run on a regular rate against Hank Conger. He's thrown out 1 all season long, and this throw is not going to provide any extra confidence for the night.
23 steals for DeShields. And now 3-0 to Choo. Choo has been on base in 13 of his last, well, in his last 13 games, and 34 of the last 35 now. Infield shifted around for him. And he takes a cut and fouls it. 3-1 to Choo. From South Korea.
And now our strike zone brought to you by MD Anderson. As you can see, Colin with just the 1 pitch in the strike zone there, but it was right where most hitters would like to see it.
Fielders on deck. A turn towards second. Correa had crept in behind the runner. DeShields there. Rangers have scored 65 runs in 13 games against the Astros while hitting .276 as a team. And it's fouled away for a full count on Choo.
Choo's not a guy you would call a real pull hitter. He uses the entire field, but in this scenario, nobody out, man at second base, first inning, that's where you really try to pull the ball. I was surprised to see him just shoot one down the left side.
Colby Rasmussen left field plays him pretty much like a right-handed pull hitter. And the curveball gets a tap foul. That's been a big pitch for Colin McHugh. Very effective, especially against the left-handed hitters.
I think this might have been one of those tappers that comes up and gets you rather unpleasantly.
That requires a little timeout. Chu had a 14-game hitting streak at home. That was snapped last night, but the longest by a Ranger this year. He's hit .341 here at home since the All-Star break. It's a bouncer foul, first base line. Chris Carter hasn't started many games the last few weeks. The Astros been hit by the injury bug right now. Marlon Gonzalez is down with a swollen right index finger. He needs a little more time to recover. Jed Lowry has a bruised foot. Carlos Gomez is out with a mildly strained oblique. He'll need a few days. That's a walk to Chu. 2 men on, nobody out. Jason Castro could be back soon. Probably not at full speed. Now Fielder bats. Fielder with 19 homers, 77 runs batted in, has hit .309. He's 5th in the league in hits with 166. And last night he had 2 hits, including the big game deciding 2-run homer in the 8th, going 2 for 4. Fielder shoots one foul. Fielder is 4 for 6 against McHugh in his career. Colin has had 3 starts against the Rangers. They've all been good. One last year, a 4-2 win at Houston, 7 innings, 2 runs, and then this year he started the game against Holland. We talked about April 10th. He won that one 5-1, and then he beat Martin Perez in Houston in July. 1 ball, 1 strike. Since the All-Star break, McHugh has gone 7-2 with a 2.80 ERA. Fielder puts it out of play, and it's a 1-ball, 2-strike count.
This guy's obviously a difficult guy to pitch. The power would tell you that, but he's a really good hitter. He can use the entire field about as well as anybody.
One of the outs he made last night was a hard hit ball, in fact. He does tend to hit it hard all over. There's a little softly hit grounder into left field. DeShields is coming home. Rasmus with a throw to the plate. He launches one way over Conger off the screen. The runners move up a base, and it's 1-0 Texas.
This is the point where I say, what's going on here? That didn't even look like the kind of throw where you're trying to bring it down and keep runners at bay. And realistically, there was not much of a shot at anything at the plate. Now, this is another thing that Prince Fielder has done all year long against the Astros. Use that entire field, just shooting balls on the left side.
RBI single for Fielder, his 78th run batted in, and an error on Rasmus, his 4th of the year, allowing both runners to move up a base. Now it's Adrian Beltre taking strike one. Beltre at .264 with 15 homers, has 55 runs batted in. He was 1 for 4 last night.
Yeah, Bernie, you referred to the article talking about the Rangers maybe being the favorite because they've got more veterans. That's not a rookie in left field that just made that play. And we saw some mistakes last night. They came with guys that have been around a while.
In the air to shallow right field. This could fall in. Altuve sliding, can't make the catch. A run scores. And it's 2-0 Texas. Great try by Altuve. He got his glove on it, couldn't hold it. It'll be an RBI single for Beltre. Runners at first and third, and still nobody out.
Generally speaking, when you're getting hits like this, you're poised for one of those nights where you can put a lot on the board. The Astros need to get this changed and turned around very quickly.
Brent Strom is coming out to the mound after this rugged start for Colin McHugh. 2 runs in, single, walk, single, and nobody out with runners at first and third.
And I imagine for Brent Strom, this is just simply about, hey, look, there's a lot of baseball to be played. It's a shaky first inning. Bats are going to help you out. But it's tough when you're standing out there trying to get some outs. And those last 2 hits, little dribbler through the left side by Fielder, and then this one by Beltre. Very tough.
Gary Pettis positioning the outfielders for Mitch Moreland, who drilled a homer to left field last night, his 20th of the season. He's driven in 73 with a .289 batting average. The shift is on, and that's upstairs for ball 1. Moreland was 2 for 4 last night. In addition to the homer, he had a double. This is the second time in the big leagues he's hit 20 home runs. He hit 23 in 2013. In for a strike. 1-1 to Moreland.
And more pitches like that would be handy for Colin.
Rougned Odor is on deck. Owen pops away from Conger. That pitch came in and hit him, so that now the bases are loaded. And the rally continues with Odor batting. 9th hit batter for Colin McHugh this season.
Well, it sets up the double play. It's really the case of a hitter turning early and turning right into the pitch. Moreland didn't make any effort at all, even in that last instant, to try to get away.
Odor has been quite a weapon. Good numbers for the young second baseman. 13 homers, 52 runs batted in, a .270 batting average. He has speed and power. There is strike 1 to him. Doesn't walk much. Very aggressive. He's hit .333 against the Astros with a homer and 8 runs batted in. And an RBI in last night's game. 11 of his last 14 hits have been extra base hits. In for a strike. 0-2 to Odor.
Here's your high strike, just getting a piece of the strike zone.
Odor's 21 years old, from Venezuela. Upstairs, and it's 1-2 with Elvis Andrus on deck. Rangers are 3-1 on this homestand. They've gone 21-10 since August 13th. And they have the bases loaded with Fielder, Beltre, and Moreland, the base runners. Broken bat roller to shortstop. Correa steps on second, guns to first, safe at first with a run scoring. And it's 3-0. Odor will get his 53rd run batted in. The ball was slowly hit out of that broken bat. And that gave Odor a chance to beat Correa's throw.
And so close to being that little dribbler back to the mound that Colin could start with a double play headed toward the plate to begin with. And yet everything at the moment going the Rangers' way. And a good call down at first base.
Gabe Morales is the umpire at first. 1 out now, and it's Elvis Andrus batting. Vince Velasquez is up in the Astros bullpen. He hits a soft liner over first. That's a hit in right field. Driving in a run. Odor to third base. 4-0. Andrus drives in his 54th.
There's been one sharply hit ball. That was the hit by Delano DeShields to get it all started. But then a walk and a couple of softies, a hit batter, a fielder's choice on a ball that was placed rather perfectly, and now this little softie.
Four nothing lead, and now it's Joey Gallo batting. Gallo, a 204 hitter, has 6 homers, 14 runs batted in. He was one of the September call-ups, had been with the Rangers earlier. The runner takes off from first. Here's Conger throwing to Correa, and the tag. Safe is the call. A stolen base for Andrus. Good throw, though, for Conger. That's the 18th steal for Andrus.
That's one of the better throws we've seen from Hank throughout the season. But honestly, if the Rangers are able to steal backs this handily, they're just going to keep going all night long.
Close play. Andrus is in there. Pitch was ball 1 to Gallo. Infield comes in. And a big cut by Gallo. Makes it 1-1. He's known for big swings.
Yeah, that's a serious uppercut, and you would think the fastball there and even above that point could be highly effective.
Vince Velasquez working for the Astros in their bullpen. Two and one. When this season started, Gallo was one of the top prospects from the minor leagues. Last year he hit 21 homers at Myrtle Beach, 21 more at Double-A Frisco, for a total of 42 homers, 106 runs batted in at those 2 minor league stops. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
That swing is just going to have a really tough time on the high heat.
'30th pitch of the inning coming for McHugh. Full count to Gallo. This is the first time Gallo has played against the Astros. He's had 103 major league at-bats this year. And he's down on strikes. 2 outs.
3 fastballs and no contact. And you can see the location of those pitches. All mid-level. You'd like to be no lower than that.
Chris Jimenez has hit well against the Astros this season. 246 overall, 5 homers, 11 runs batted in. He looks at ball 1. Jimenez 0 for 2 with a walk in last night's game. Rangers can be explosive. They're 7th in the league in runs scored, but they've been in double figures in runs scored 13 different times this season. That's a liner caught by Correa. And the Rangers bat around in a 4-run first with 4 hits, an error, and a couple of men left to lead 4-0. Rangers this season. They're 9-4 against the Astros, averaging 5 runs per game. Against the rest of the AL West, they're a different team, 17-30, averaging 3.7 runs per game.
What is the secret?
Boy, it's hard to figure, isn't it?
I'd say impossible. A lot of times there are just fluky stats, but the Astros can't worry about fluky stats right now. They've got to go do some serious swinging of the bats.
Pretty good breeze there at the top of the stadium. Trey Hillman, the bench coach, talking with A.J. Hinch as the Astros come up, trailing 4-0 in the second inning. Colby Rasmus, the batter. And Holland now has the luxury with this 4-0 lead going to the second inning of pounding the strike zone. But he doesn't. There was a curveball for ball one.
You know what a lot of times will get said, though, is don't change the way you started this ball game. Keep pitching. If you start throwing nothing but fastballs, they pick a run here and a run there. That's how you try to get back in a game.
Holland is making his 7th start of the year for the Rangers. In his career, he's 54-40. Rasmus fouls it back for a 2-ball 1-strike count. Rasmus 2 for 10 in his career against Holland. Holland back in 2011 when the Rangers went to the World Series was 16-5 with a 3.95 ERA. It's 3-1 now. Last night's starter Cole Hamels went 7, allowing 3 runs. Texas won it with the bullpen getting the win, 5-3. Rasmus takes a leadoff walk. Julia.
Thanks, Brownie. Grab your boots, belt buckles, and cowboy hats and head out to Minute Maid Park for Boot Scoot and Barbecue this Saturday, September 19th. The event features a pregame street festival, barbecue contest, and country music. Fans must have a valid ticket to the A's Astros game to enter the festival. For more information, visit astros.com/bbq.
Chris Carter, starting at first base tonight, has 18 homers, 52 runs batted in with a 181 batting average. He lines one into right center field. Rasmus heads for third. He might be able to score on this. It goes to the wall. Carter into second base. Rasmus turning third, coming in to make it 4-1 on the RBI double by Carter.
Speaking of turning, that could be where the worm turns a little bit.
The Astros are on the board, nobody out, and Jonathan Villar following to the plate.
Didn't figure Chris Carter to come in really sharp, but jumps all over the first thing he sees. At about that same gap where Carlos Correa took advantage. A rather simple and short stroke for Chris.
Carter had only had 1 at bat on this road trip. This is the 8th game of the road trip. Now Villar taking strike 1. Villar with 2 homers, 9 runs batted in, has hit .267. He came in last night and played third base when Jed Lowry left with the leg injury. Villar was 0 for 2 with a walk. Big cut there, and it's 0-2. That was Carter's first RBI since August 30th in Minnesota. He had only had 2 at bats in the month of September coming into this game. 1-2. Holland has used the slider to great effectiveness, especially in the second half of this season. Batting average against that pitch is just .161. And Conger's on deck. Bouncer goes foul. Still 1-2 to Jonathan Villar. Jed Lowry got hit on the left foot by a pitch last night after fouling a ball off his left shin. And he was having a problem putting his weight on that foot. Unable to start this game. Villar takes, and it's 2-2. So he's day to day. And the Astros do have some wounded people right now. They have spent 139 of 162 days in first place this year. In this current stretch, they've been in first since July 28th. That one almost hit VR, and he dances out of the way to go to a full count as Holland is struggling with his control some here in the inning. These two teams both have lost 67 games. The Astros have won 77, the Rangers 76.
Going to utilize that slider to get the strikeout, but instead the 3-2 count.
Bounced into left field past the diving Beltre. Carter to third base, and the Astros put some things together. 3 straight reaching base. VR with the single.
Carter could only go 90 feet. He had to hold, in fact, actually take a step back towards second base to ensure that he didn't get thrown out if this ground ball was caught. So just pick up 90 feet at a time there. And that was the appropriate response by Carter.
Pitching coach Mike Maddox talks with Holland. Holland was moved up in the rotation. Initially, he was listed as tomorrow night's starter, but he is working on 4 days rest. And Martin Perez was moved back to start tomorrow night against Dallas Keuchel. Colby Lewis will take the mound Thursday night for the Rangers in the finale of this series. Conger with 11 homers, 32 runs batted in, has a .213 batting average. This is his 10th start in the Astros' last 11 games. And he said he's holding up just fine physically. There's ball 1 to him.
I think if you get in a groove of playing every day, it's actually easier than the in and out style.
Conger against lefties is trying to get it cranked up. He has a .148 batting average. And he does. Line drive hit to left center field, scoring Carter. 4-2 game. VR goes first to third on the RBI single. Carter coming home as Conger has driven in his 33rd.
Here come the reinforcements right here. Yeah, this is encouraging, watching this team bounce back after that very ugly first inning. And then VR going first to third on the base hit. Quite useful.
4 straight Astros reaching base here and sending up the number 9 hitter Jake Marisnick with nobody out. Could be an old-fashioned Texas shootout the way this game is starting. Marisnick with 9 homers has 32 runs batted in, and his batting average is .236. Jake had a double last night and also walked. He stole a base and scored a run. Narrowly missing his 10th home run of this season. The ball just to the left of that home run range, and he bunts. Here comes the runner VR. The throw going to first. He is out, and the run scores to make it 4-3. So Marisnick would get the RBI, his 33rd of the year, scoring VR and moving Conger to second base. And Anthony Bass is up in the Rangers bullpen.
Very nice bounce back by the ball club. And I don't know exactly what Marisnick had in mind here. If he thought that, well, I can score the run here with anything that I put down. He was fortunate in this regard that the catcher Jimenez had to come out to make the play. Left home plate wide open, but the thing about Jake is he's got the kind of speed that he can just about beat out. Well, he certainly beat out many balls on the infield.
George Springer opened the game with a hit. He looks at strike 1 here. Well, we mentioned Springer has now played 162 major league games. He has 33 homers, 81 runs batted in, 19 steals in his first 162 as a major leaguer. .259 average. Breaking ball 0-2. The Astros as a team are hitting .243 with runners in scoring position this season. Big at bat here for Springer, falling behind quickly in the count to try to get an RBI. And tonight the Astros are 2 for 3 with men in scoring position. That one in tight, makes it 1-2.
I think Jimenez got crossed up with that fastball.
Yeah, he's going to go out and talk it over with Holland now as Colin McHugh gets somewhat of a breather after facing 9 in the first inning. And now the Astros have gotten him back in this game, but it's a night when both managers are thinking bullpens already here in the second inning, and the Astros were thinking bullpen in the first inning, in fact. McHugh has had several games earlier this year in which he gave up multiple runs in an inning early, and then he was able to straighten things out and stay in the game for several more innings. Springer looks at it, and it's now 2-2. George is hitting .150 with men in scoring position. 9 hits and 60 at bats.
I feel like the focus has turned for George this year a bit and into becoming that guy that gets on base via the walk, and he's been maybe overly patient with men in scoring position.
That one hit him, and Springer has worked his way on. Now Altuve will bat with runners at first and second and 1 out in the inning.
The slider just sweeps all the way in and almost gets a bite of the hamstring.
Jimenez and Holland try to work it out. Third hit batter of the year for Holland. Altuve will be at the plate. Altuve bounced into a 3-6-3 double play his first time up. Mike Maddox watching his left-hander struggle now after being handed a 4-0 first inning lead. In the last 23 games, the Rangers starters have had a much better ERA, 3.65 than they had earlier. Altuve's out in front. There's strike 1 to him. Altuve's been terrific with men in scoring position this year. Pulls that one foul into the Astros dugout, and it's 0-2.
About a nanosecond to get in there, and that shook up some fellas. This went right after management. Oh, man.
Ray Hillman and AJ having to dodge that. Evan Gattis down there as well. Quite a time for baseball in Texas here this September. Altuve punches it in the air. Moreland over. Infield fly was called, but that's still fair, and the ball was foul for a big out for Holland, out number 2. Carlos Correa tries for a 2-out hit. He doubled to right center in the first inning. This is the first time Carlos has faced Holland. Now as he makes the circuit around the American League, he'll have more of a memory bank a year from now, having faced many of these pitchers several times. And Correa steps away. two teams have 3 more meetings coming in Houston after this series concludes Thursday night. Breaking pitch goes for ball 1. Correa's the 8th Astro to bat here in the second. Rangers lead the all-time series 76-47, and they're 39-22 against the Astros here. Back to Holland, and he gets Correa, but the Astros answer with 3 runs on 3 hits. They lead 2. It's 4-3 Rangers.
First inning, no doubt, but over the last 13 months, 38 starts, 23-7 in an Astros uniform, 3.32 ERA, teaming up to make a deadly duo with Dallas Keuchel.
Well, he had a 5-run first when he faced Seattle earlier this season. And he gave up 4 in the first here tonight, now trying to right the ship as he moves through this Texas lineup for the second time. DeShields led off the Rangers first with a single. He stole a base and came home on the fielder's single. That is strike 1. Colin has been resourceful enough to overcome sometimes giving up those big innings we talked about earlier and stay in the game. That's what he's trying to do here tonight as this one goes in the air to Springer. Could certainly use a quick second inning.
Well, turning back to that first inning again, just a couple of balls hit hard. One of those was an out. But pitchers will go through those innings, and you hope that's the only one of the night for Colin.
At least 8 times he's given up 3 runs in an inning this season. And he's wound up the winning pitcher in 3 of those games. Innings 1 through 3, a 4.39 ERA for this season. Chu drew a walk, scored a run. There's ball 1. We mentioned that Chu is from South Korea. And Conger was born in this country, but his parents were from Korea. The catcher and the batter have something in common as far as their family's heritage. Fielders on deck. Foul ball makes it 1-2. It's just amazing how the international character of this game has changed down through the last couple of decades, Ash. And reading a story today about Paul Molitor, the manager of the Minnesota Twins. flashing back to when he was a minor league instructor, and he talked about going to the instructional league, and notice how many players were not from this country in that organization. That's considered to be a positive because the search is worldwide for talent now in Major League Baseball.
Well, the Latin players have become somewhat dominant in the game. I wonder, might that also be the case with Korean and Japanese players at some point in the future?
Foul back. Still 2-2. There's a fan below us asking Chu to hit one to him. If he's right below us, there's little chance of that happening. Smacked into right field. Chu is on with a single between Carter and Altuve. Hit number 5 for the Rangers. Julia.
Register now for the opportunity to purchase tickets to potential 2015 Astros postseason games at Minute Maid Park. You won't want to miss the excitement of October baseball. I'm going to tell you about Batters and Bases runs right here. Get your running shoes and join us for the Batters and Bases 5K and 10K run at Minute Maid Park Saturday, September 26th. Kids 12 and under can enter the Kids Fun Run, and all participants will receive a commemorative T-shirt. For more info, visit astros.com/run. Try to get your season tickets too, guys.
Yeah. Thanks, Julia. Here's Fielder batting now. Well, normally you would be participating in that type of a run outdoors. Fielder with the RBI single to left, taking strike 1 there, but that's a special Saturday, Julia, so you're going to be exempt from having to run in that one. And we just found out the game time has been changed for that Saturday to a noon start by Fox Network Television, deciding to pick up that game on the 26th. 1 ball, 1 strike. That'll be the Texas Rangers versus the Houston Astros at Minute Maid Park on September 26th. Throw over to first, and to try to combat this running game, Colin might have to go to more throws to first base. 2 stolen bases in the early going by the Rangers, advertising the fact that they are loaded for bear on trying to steal tonight. It's 2-1.
37 now have stolen successfully, with 1 being caught, with Hank Conger behind the plate. So it's no secret.
Chu has not done much running. He's 4 for 5. Now it's lined up the right field line, hooking, and foul. 2-2. Beltre's on deck. Each club has 5 hits now. Fielder works the count full. The Twins, who have been remarkable in staying in the wild card race, are trailing the Tigers 3-1 in the top of the 3rd inning. Minnesota 75 and 68. Just 1 game behind Texas for that second wild card spot. Runner takes off, and it's ball 4. Runners at first and second for Beltre with 1 out now on the second walk of the night for Colin McHugh. Beltre with the pop fly. Altuve almost caught it and went for a run-producing single in shallow right field. Had that lucky landing spot his first time up. There's strike 1 to him. George Springer, of course, playing deep on this power hitter. And there's a good deal of right field to cover in this ballpark. In tight to him, and it's 1-1 to Beltre. Only one third baseman has started more games at that position than Beltre. Brooks Robinson, about 400 more than Beltre started. It's 2-1. Vince Velasquez once again working in the Astros bullpen. .50 pitches so far for McHugh. Foul back. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
A lot of cutters, and we're looking at a velocity in that 86 to 88 range right now from Colin. They're not putting a lot of heat in terms of velocity on these hitters.
The batting average against his cutters, 307. That's on the corner. Strike 3 call. Beltre called looking for the second out. Second strikeout for McHugh.
Well, as soon as I talk about it, Colin goes 4-seamer at 91 and spots it beautifully. It's a very good call, too, on that pitch.
Mitch Moreland was hit by a pitch in the first inning. We wondered last night, with the configuration that was used in the lineup by the skipper, Jeff Bannister, Moreland playing first and Mike Napoli in left field, why it wasn't the other way around. And we found out Moreland has had a troublesome ankle. Popped up, Conger with the catch. And in the second inning, it's no runs a hit, 2 men left. It's 4-3 Texas after 2.
Root Sports and Academy Sports and Outdoors have teamed up to help you show your team spirit. Free Houston Astros Crush City yard signs are now available at participating Houston area Academy Sports and Outdoors locations while supplies last. For a list of participating stores, visit rootsports.com/yard signs. Quantities are limited, so get yours fast before they run out. I bet those Astros fans picked up a yard sign. And if you have picked one up and put one in your lovely yard, we want to see a picture. So tweet us your pics. I like it when dogs are involved, kids.
Yeah.
Makes them extra special, guys.
Well, we have enjoyed seeing those pics. Keep them coming, folks. And good of those fans to come out, whether they travel from Houston or whether they live up here. With their Astros gear on, 4-3 Texas. Evan Gattis moved back with ball 1. He grounded out to shortstop in the first inning. So the Astros now have dotted the scoreboard with 5 hits and 3 runs. That one goes in the air deep to center field. To Shields underneath. One out for Holland. And Colby Rasmus follows. He walked and began that 3-run rally in the second inning. Since Holland came back from the disabled list, he's 3-1 with a 2.97 ERA. And he started that game here in the home opener against the Astros on the 10th of April. He left with a shoulder problem. Subscapular strain in the left shoulder. And went on the 60-day DL. Then had 4 starts on an injury rehab assignment at Round Rock in Frisco. Quickly, it's 0-2 on Colby Rasmus. In that Tigers-Twins game, Phil Hughes has returned to the Minnesota rotation tonight after an injury. And he's trailing 3-1. Hughes has given up 5 hits, 3 runs in 2 2/3 innings, pitching against Alfredo Simon. Colby lifts one out to shallow center field, and that's a hit in front of DeShields. Shields came rushing in, but Rasmus had enough real estate for a single, and he's on for the second straight time.
In on the hands. See him just kind of cut it off. Got enough barrel to it to be able to drop it in center.
Chris Carter ripped a ball into right center field for an RBI double, and then later scored in the second inning. His last homer came in Minnesota August 28th. In for a strike to Carter. Carter is 5 for 19 in his career against Holland. And the throw goes over. Rasmus with 2 steals in 3 attempts, drawing a little attention there. Jimenez has thrown out 1 of 10 attempted base stealers. Holland again works on Rasmus. It's going to be quite something these last 3 weeks of the Major League season, with the American League wild card race producing a lot of excitement to come. That's ripped on a line. DeShields back, way back into center field, and he makes a jumping catch. Excellent play by DeShields on another well-hit ball by Carter. 2 outs.
About as well as we've seen Chris Carter swing the bat in back-to-back at-bats. Been a rugged year, but Delano DeShields makes it kind of a moot point with his defensive abilities. Almost overran the ball.
2 down, and it's Jonathan Villar batting. Villar singled to left field in the second and came around to score a run. DeShields is a converted second baseman. And he's really taken over from the injured Leonis Martin here in center field with his Ranger club. Martin is on the disabled list, trying to work his way back. He's been taking some balls in the outfield, but he had wrist surgery and he's not able to swing the bat yet. Showing bunt, Villar looks at a strike, and Josh Hamilton is another injured outfielder who could come back to the Rangers by the end of the regular season. He just had minor knee surgery. Villar looks at it, it's a strike. 0-2 now to Villar.
See, that first one was right down the chute, and this one on the edge. So time to go to Hackett.
High to left field. Gallo's coming in, but the shortstop's underneath it. Andrews, who lets Gallo have it. 11 pitches in the third inning for Holland. No runs, a hit, and a man left. 4-3 Texas.
on top of the Astros, and Carlos Gomez rejoining the team today here in Arlington as he was seen by doctors yesterday, diagnosed with a mild sprain. It happened when he was taking their last round of BP in Sunday in Anaheim. Unfortunately for him, he never takes optional BP on day games, but because of how well he was swinging the bat, he wanted to keep it going, and just so happens it strained a little muscle there. He's never had this injury before, so it's something he's trying to feel out. The first couple of days, of course, being the worst as far as soreness goes, guys, but tomorrow will be a good day for them to test how far along he is. He also told me he stayed awake till about 3 o'clock in the morning, just frustrated with the loss yesterday and how he couldn't be there with the team to help them out.
Thanks, Julia. Odor took the slow curveball, now fouls back the heater upstairs, and it's 0-2. Odor got the RBI, bouncing into a force play in the first inning, beating out the double play relay. Yeah, it is that time of year when certainly the guys who have been grinding it want to keep doing that, but injuries are preventing that with some of the Astros players at the moment. 1-2, and according to what Jeff Luhnow said yesterday, it seems that Gomez will probably miss this entire series, maybe be ready to go by Friday night at home against Oakland. But players are evaluated every day. Two and two. We just had a question on Twitter about how many people the Astros have left on base this year. They've left 901 on base for the season. That actually is the 4th fewest in the American League. So the questioner will be surprised to know that, but if somebody's watching baseball, 2-3 times a week or more often than that, every team would strike you as having left a lot of men on base when you get to this point of the season, right?
I think dead on would be any team you happen to be rooting for would seem to be the one who leads the majors in left on base.
Actually, I think you could turn it around, Ash, and say, well, if you're not leaving many on base, you need to get more opportunities. You need to put more men on base.
Yeah, I think you're dead on with that one. It's a deceiving stat anyway.
Smacked into right center field by Odor. He continues to be troublesome for the Astros.
This guy's turning into a good player. He's one of those guys that I think for some of the players he'll get under their skin, but at the same time you'd like to have him on your club.
Well put. 60th pitch coming for McHugh, trailing by 1, and after the leadoff single, now facing Andrus. Andrus with a soft line drive RBI single to right field, got his night off to a good start. And as you've indicated, some of those balls in that first inning were not hit all that well. Strike to Andrus. According to Fangraphs.com, Colin McHugh has generated the 5th highest percentage of soft contact in the American League this season. It's 1-1.
That was an inning's worth of some of the most successful soft contact you want to see in the first for the Rangers.
That was indeed an Elton John type of inning, wasn't it?
Elton John, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Wouldn't be Benny and the Jets.
It could be. That was a soft hit. That one rolls foul, and it's a 1-ball, 2-strike count with Gallo on deck. American League Baseball, though, produces a number of games similar to this one. Did Jim Crane get that baseball? Yeah,
apparently so. Let's see. One of the Houston Astros making the play. Former baseball player, though.
Yeah.
Heck of a golfer.
Just like he did it at Central Missouri University.
Works out on a regular basis with Bill Brown.
2 balls and 2 strikes to Andrus. Bouncer off McHugh's glove. There's a spear by Altuve to Correa. Wow, tremendous double play with Carter receiving the throw at first. That was quick and slick.
That's what the boys defensively have been waiting for. Get yourself some double plays. Help Colin out of some innings. Colin had a notion of trying to grab this ball himself. A lot of times all you wind up doing as a pitcher is just deflect the baseball. Look at him start and then stop. And he's fortunate that he did not touch the ball. That's a tough exchange as the second baseman actually gets past the shortstop, but handled very nicely between the two.
Really something. That was a top-notch double play. Now it's Gallo, struck out earlier, ball one. You mentioned the throwing angle was very difficult for Altuve, so he kind of slung it sidearm, and he had already passed that point that a second baseman likes to be able to make that toss to the shortstop. He was past him and had to sling it back, and then Correa had pressure from Odor sliding in hard. He had to go up, and it appeared he got some contact on his throw.
That's that one in practice anyway, and sometimes in games you'll see guys with the behind the back flip, but we're kind of beyond that point right now in the season.
Really a picturesque double play.
Yeah, he could go behind the back, but he's trying to ensure that they get an out, and then Correa with quick feet, strong arm, you get the second one.
So technically well done by both players. Correa turning toward right center field to receive that throw and make sure that he got the out at second. Then he had to turn his body back for the throw on to first. Gallo takes a 2-out walk. Number 3 of the night for McHugh.
Well, it would seem that nothing is coming easy this evening.
Yeah, it's one of those nights when the bullpens are expected to be used. Jimenez, who lined out the shortstop, was the 9th Ranger to bat in their 4-run first inning. He looks at a strike. He's really helped their cause by being able to contribute so much behind the plate the last few weeks because of their catching injuries on this team this year. This is his 22nd start behind the plate, and in the first 21 starts by Jimenez, the Rangers' record is 17-4. He came up from Round Rock at the end of July.
Well, a stat like that'll find a way to keep you in the lineup.
1-1 to Jimenez.
That's an agent stat,
isn't it, though? Yeah. Well, he's been that catcher during this very effective Texas run, going 21-10 since the 13th of August. Runner takes off, swing and a miss. Conger's throw is there, but safe is the call as Gallo steals it. His 3rd of the year.
I would have to say encouraging right now from Hank Conger. The first throw, one you want to forget. The last 2, he's given himself a shot in terms of trying to get that man. Now, if that throw is up a bit over the bag where Altuve can snap it down, you might get yourself an out. But because you kind of have to reach out in front and then sweep back, too much time taken.
Just off the plate. Good, isn't it? 2-2.
That's where Colin wanted it. I'll assure you of that. And you see, it's a good call. But boy, pitchers, their work is about right there off the edges and right at the knees.
Curveball struck out Jimenez. 4 runs ahead and a man left after 3. It's 4-3 Texas.
take that peek again. The Astros, they're on top by half a game. Angels 4.5 back. And then your wild card, the Yankees and Rangers are the teams in right now. Don't forget about the Twins a game back. And the Angels 4. It's getting tough for them. It's that chopping time on the blocks.
Very enjoyable for the fans of those clubs. We saw a well-fought baseball game last night. Texas winning at 5-3. Texas leads right now 4-3 as the Astros come up in the fourth. Hank Conger had an RBI single his first time up. He takes ball one. Jake Marisnick's on deck. George Springer due up third in the inning. Conger works the count to 2-0. The Astros 29-43 on the road. That's the worst road record in the American League this year. And if they were to finish at the same winning percentage on the road for the season and make the playoffs, it would be the second worst winning percentage on the road for a playoff team in the last 100 years. So they'd love to start that turnaround right here and now.
That's cranking it up.
Right off the left shin.
Beating yourself up right there.
Conger fouls it back. It's 2 balls, 2 strikes to Hank. Orioles lead the Red Sox 5-4 in Baltimore. They're in the bottom of the 7th inning now. Steve Pearce hit his 11th homer. Manny Machado number 29.
He's come back okay from the knee injury.
Bet he has. Yankees are trailing 4-3 at Tampa Bay. They're in the top of the 7th inning. Alex Rodriguez has passed Craig Biggio on the all-time hit list. That's a close one. Looked like a strike from here, but it's 3-2 to Hank.
The Angels were making a concerted effort on that inside edge during the recent series, and see the Rangers, especially with Holland, trying the same.
Conger to left field, down the line, Gallo over. That's a foul ball. Nearly extra bases for Conger, who was around first.
Sometimes catching the breaks can be as big as anything in winning games, and that's about as close as you're going to get and have a foul ball. When you're on a winning streak, those balls fall fair, and just the unusual plays go your way. A.J. Hinch is rather curious as to where this ball might have landed.
Well, he's gone out to Phil Cuzzi, the home plate umpire. Third base umpire Jerry Davis made the call.
I don't know. What'd you see on this one, Brownie?
Saw it foul, but let's take a closer look here.
Does it get any piece of chalk? Let's see. Yeah, I don't think I would challenge that one. That's as close as it gets.
See any puff of white being kicked up?
No. No, in fact, when the ball was on the ground, it was stopped there the first time. Right there.
Here's
you
the key,
can see
though.
a brown line between ball and, yeah.
This is not a good angle, though, Ash.
Nope.
Do we have the angle from looking from home plate up the left field line? That would be the key angle to have. Or from the left field line looking back toward home plate. That angle might show a different story than what we're seeing from this angle.
So if they determine this to have been fair, is Conger awarded second? And if it was Evan Gattis, would he be awarded third?
Well,
that's close.
Up to the umpires to decide. Yeah, and I just think that's not the angle to look at. Can't make a decision from there.
Watching that ball on the angle we had land, it kicks up brown dirt, and I don't see any white in it, unfortunately. I hope they have a different view in New York.
Well, they will. They'll have different angles there. They will have that particular angle we're talking about. because they get to tap into 3 different telecasts tonight, and they have other cameras located in the ballpark as well, including cameras down each line. So they will get a better view than what we've seen.
What's that system called that they have in tennis?
Hawkeye?
Maybe that's it. I don't know, but that would be effective on a play like this.
Foul ball. Oh, so close to a double. And they are looking up on the big replay board. AJ shaking his head after that call was not overturned. So now Conger back to the plate with a 3-2 count. And this one goes out toward right center field. A long run here for Chu. Chu watches that one go, and he's going to get extra bases all right. DeShields gets it back in, and there's the double for Conger. Like he was limping a little bit.
Notice the same thing even on the ball he hit down the left field side. I think he's hurting a bit with that ball he hit on the shin, but he was not going to be denied in this at bat.
It's a poetic justice double, if you will, Ash.
Not much poetry in watching the stride right now of Hank Conger.
No.
But you can tell he's toughing it out.
More pain than poetry, certainly, but Hank is 2 for 2 in this game. That's his 10th double of the year. And he has gotten things started with the extra base hit for Jake Marisnick, who put down a bunt. He bunted in a run for RBI number 33. And now rips one up the middle. Conger coming to third, stop sign there. DeShields coming up with it. Here's the throw to the plate, cut off on the single by Marisnick. First and third, nobody out. Good swing by Marisnick.
Just as nice as you want to see. Short and sweet to the baseball. Is that the real Jake Marisnick? If it is, with his defensive abilities and what he can do on the base paths, such a valuable player.
Anthony Bass once again has gotten up in the bullpen. When we came on the air, we looked at 2 Astros players and what they've hit in the month of September. Colby Rasmus and Jake Marisnick. And these 2 guys have both done exceptionally well at the plate this month. Now Holland, trying to stay in this game with a 1-run lead, faces a challenge. First and third, nobody out. Springer is the batter. Altuve's on deck. That's 8 hits for Houston. Springer started the game with a single off the glove of Andrus into left field. Then he was hit by a pitch in the 2nd inning.
Chance for George to be that run producer that I think a lot of us feel that the Astros need him to be.
He takes it. It's in tight, ball 1. Springer looks at it. It's a 1-1 count now. Alex Rodriguez hit his 32nd home run tonight for the Yankees.
What a year. Holland finds that edge in that pursuit of the inside corner.
A-Rod's driven in 83 runs. Greg Bird belted his 6th homer at Tampa Bay. And the throw goes over. Marisnick usually is somebody who will test the defense against the running game. With 19 steals in 26 attempts. He stole one last night. Springer takes in tight. 2-1. The Tampa Bay Rays have really dropped back in that wild card race. They're now 5 games under 500. The Yankees currently 79 and 64, and people are wondering if they have the kind of staying power to go deep into the playoffs with their current starting rotation and some injuries, including Mark Teixeira, which may affect their postseason chances.
You know what, though? I think if you ask a lot of people who's the best team in the American League, they'd say, without really even thinking, Kansas City right now. but they've been in a major slide here recently.
They have. You're right.
So I don't know what you read in short portions of the season.
Well, according to one story today, the American League is pretty much up for grabs headed toward playoff time, because Kansas City was the team for many and now has stumbled. There are some injury problems with the Royals. Johnny Cueto has been a mess for Kansas City, and that's of major concern. He was to have been the #1 playoff pitcher. 3 balls and a strike now. This will be the 60th pitch coming for Holland, who's really trying to hang on to this 1-run lead and fighting it tonight. Bass has had plenty of time to get ready. Springer dribbles one, and here's Conger going back to third. Beltre with a throw to first in time. Conger started to break toward the plate, then he jammed on the brakes, got back to third, and it's out #1 with Marisnick moving into second.
Let's take a look now at Bringing the Lumber, brought to you by Yellowwood. Jose Altuve has been swinging the long ball bat, including his first at bat of the night last night as he launched one. And it looked like a momentum maker for the Astros. Didn't wind up being that, but little man's been driving it hard, and he's right there with a chance to lead the league in hits again this year. Look at the home runs by season for Jose Altuve. 12 this year. Twice he had been to 7, but he's becoming a much bigger man in terms of the long ball.
Very important at bat for him here tonight. He is 0 for 2 in this game. He has 1 out, runners at second and third, and the Astros trail by 1. Altuve hit a 1-hopper to first base. That wound up being a 3-6-3 double play, and then he fouled out to the first baseman. At that time, there were a couple of men on base, so Altuve once again gets a chance to come through. And that's a foul ball, strike 1. Quite often there's a strong correlation between the way Altuve hits and the way the Astros offense goes.
Yeah, I'd say that about Carlos Correa. Last year it was definitely about George Springer.
Especially in situations like this one. He's been so productive. 0-2.
Look, Altuve's been the man you want at the plate in that final swing of the night, and he's produced some. He also came up just shy recently, hitting a line drive to end a ball game, but he's really good in that scenario.
Conger at third, Marisnick at second. And if he were to hit a fly ball with Conger running, it would have to be fairly deep to score him. Way up. 1-2.
Yeah, I think that's why Conger shut down the 18-wheeler that was starting down the line on that little ground ball by Springer.
Excellent decision by Hank. Altuve with a defensive swing just whacked it back off the screen. Little jab stroke.
He's got an uncanny ability to not leave it in the umpire's hands. And sometimes that leaves him swinging at bad pitches, but not going to get called out with a chance to drive in runs.
That could be big. He might be getting a mistake pitch he could do something with.
Wait a minute, is that Vladimir Guerrero?
Yeah, isn't it amazing? He can foul off pitches high, he can foul off pitches low, keep himself in the at bat, maybe get something better to handle that he could hit hard somewhere.
I'm not fully convinced that ball didn't bounce. I guess it didn't, but that's close to it.
It couldn't have been much more than about 3 inches off the ground when he hit it. Carlos Correa on deck. In the dirt this time. 2-2. And you could understand if that was the intent of Holland to bounce that pitch. why a pitcher and catcher would think that way, because Altuve does swing at so many pitches. And they would be thinking to try to get him to expand that strike zone a little bit more.
Outside shot once again at 200 hits this year for Altuve.
He's at 176 right now. He had 225 last year, so he's had 401 hits last year and this year combined. Line drive caught. Bad luck for Altuve. 2 outs as he hit it to Beltre, but just still an excellent job of staying in the at-bat and hitting the ball hard.
Yeah, I said something about maybe the worm turning a little while back, but not fully yet.
Goes up against Correa now. Carlos doubled to right center in the first, grounded back to the pitcher in the second. 1-run lead. The first 2 men reach base. It was first and third, nobody out. Now Holland has retired 2 and can maintain the lead if he gets Correa. Bouncing that one, ball 1. Washington leads the Phillies 4-0 there in the bottom of the 9th at Philadelphia. Steven Strasburg went 8, allowing 1 hit, no runs, walking 1, fanning 14.
Ooh, that's the Steven Strasburg of a few years back.
That one in tight makes it 2-0. Gaddis on deck.
You know, if I'm the Texas Rangers, I'm not messing around in the strike zone on Carlos Correa. Evan Gaddis waiting on deck. I'm not at all afraid to walk Carlos Correa.
Just had that same thought. Yep. It would be surprising if he sees anything good to hit. And he hasn't so far. 3-0.
A lot of managers will step out right here and say, put him on. Don't even take a chance of a mistake.
At this point, that might be a better way to approach it. Make it intentional.
Look, you can have all the right thinking about, well, I'm not going to throw him a strike, and then, oops, you throw it through the plate and you get raked. And that's why, and I think rightly so, a lot of managers say that's enough. Usually after about 2 pitches that have missed. And here it is.
So that's ball 4 on the intentional walk to Correa. That loads the bases, and it's Evan Gaddis who's 0 for 2.
But if you're looking for evidence of who Carlos Correa is already, he's that guy that other teams don't want to mess with.
Gaddis has grounded to short and fly to center. He's facing Holland for the first time in his career tonight. Gaddis is hitting .244 with runners in scoring position. 91 with the bases loaded in his career. 9 for 23 with a slam.
Somebody's going to make it happen at some point.
Strike to Gaddis. Colby Rasmus is on deck. It is 1-1. Gaddis has had a big drop the last couple of months in his chase rate. He's not chasing as many pitches off the plate. Not swinging as much. 1-2.
The front side is just moving a bit early and opening on Evan. Watch what happens. Instead of taking it quietly, the body's just rotating and no way to stop it.
Well, Evan Gattis, who's from this area, with these fans standing, has a chance to quiet them. Line drive, in for a hit. Conger scores. Marisnick coming to the plate. Evan Gattis has given the Astros the lead, 5-4 with a 2-run single. He muscled it out over shortstop Andrus into left center field. And the intentional walk burns the Texas Rangers. Gattis following the Correa-free pass, giving him 77 runs batted in.
They call it trying to slip the cheese by, and the cheese did not get by the mouse right there. Tried to come with a high fastball, not hit hard. That's a little bit of that medicine handed out in the first inning by the Rangers hitters.
Now it's 5-4, and the Astros have grabbed their first lead. Looking for more. With Colby Rasmus batting for the third time. He has walked and singled to center. Anthony Bass continues to stay ready for the Rangers in their bullpen. 75 pitches in for Derek Holland. Rasmus taps it foul for strike one. The Astros trailed 4-0 after one. Now they're up by a run, and this will be the 30th pitch of the inning for Holland. He's having the same type of fourth inning that McHugh had in the first. In terms of pitches thrown, he hasn't faced all 9 batters as McHugh did in the first. Rasmus with a good cut, fouls it straight back. 36 times the Astros have come from behind to win a game this year of their 77 victories. Considering the circumstances, this would probably rank at the top of the list if they're to put this one away in the win column. A lot of baseball to go. We're only in the fourth. Good block by Jimenez, and it's a 1-ball 2-strike count. Here's a breakdown of Derek Holland's night. A 26-pitch second inning, and now 31 in the fourth, getting him up to 78 for the game. Chris Carter's on deck. That'll stay in the air for a while for DeShields in center. And coming in for the catch. The Astros score 2 on 3 hits. They leave 2, and they're up by a run. 5-4 in the fourth.
Astros, brought to you by your local Honda dealer. Your clues today: his brother pitching for Detroit, the 2009 World Series champ, won 4 Gold Glove awards. Make sure to tweet us your best guess. We'll tell you who it is later in the broadcast. Also, I want to give a shout out to this guy who is going after the boomstick tonight. Philip, wherever you are. Well, I guess he's at the game. Can't really talk to him. Maybe I'll have to go find him because I've been here, done this. This is not easy, guys.
You once went for a small portion.
A small portion, Brownie. I did it.
The whole thing?
Whole thing.
Wow.
It took a while.
That is impressive, Julia.
I'm still full from that 2 years ago.
What do we say to that? Congratulations?
I think so.
Not sure. That was during a 4-game series, though, wasn't it? Not only one night.
No way.
Okay. Delino DeShields leads it off. He's 1 for 2. Slow curveball works for strike 1 for Colin McHugh. Joe Thatcher is up in the Astros bullpen. 75 pitches in for McHugh now in the 4th. And that's out of play. No balls, 2 strikes on DeShields. Colin going for win number 17 of the year. It's going to be difficult in terms of going the 5 innings to qualify with that stressful first inning he had.
Honestly, Brownie, you think Joey Chestnut could handle that boomstick we just saw?
No.
I don't think there's a chance.
He would retire before attempting that. Way too ambitious for Joey. Julia's up there with the superstars on that one. In the air to right field for Springer, over toward the line.
Register now for the opportunity to purchase tickets to potential 2015 Astros postseason games at Minute Maid Park. You won't want to miss the excitement of October baseball. Sign up at astros.com/postseason tickets.
Very much a possibility for fans of both of these teams right now. Shin-Soo Choo walked and scored in the 4-run Texas first. He singled to right in the 2nd inning. He gets a slow curve, and there's strike 1. That's been the favored location for Colin McHugh. He's been working that slow curve to the inside corner on left-handed hitters, and that has induced some of that weak contact this year. It's 1-1. The fielder on deck. Pirates beat the Cubs in game 1 of a doubleheader, 5-4 in Pittsburgh today. Foul back 1 and 2. And those 2 clubs, as you know, are in line for perhaps wild card berths in the National League, but St. Louis Cardinals might leave an opening. Pittsburgh might be able to get in and claim that top spot in the NL Central.
Yeah, we were talking about the recent slide by Kansas City. St. Louis is watching the Pirates draw a little closer than anybody thought they might get.
The day began, St. Louis had a 2.5 game lead. Foul ball. And Colin is the type of pitcher who doesn't blow people away with his fastball, but he can turn to other pitches on a given night, and that's why he's been able to stay in games when other guys would have been rocked and out of the ball game. He'll go with a little bit different plan, and it'll work sometimes. Not sure how confident a hitter would be knowing what he's going to get from Colin McHugh, Ash.
You know what we haven't seen a lot tonight from Colin is that over-the-top curveball.
True.
I wonder if that might become inserted in the arsenal soon.
It's a good pitch for him. He got him on strikes. Wow. That is out number 2. Choo caught looking. This time he moved it outside, Ash.
Well, Colin was listening. There's the over-the-top curveball. And he got the benefit of a call right there, but all of a sudden that pitch could become big.
Now 2 outs, and here's Fielder batting. Fielder had an RBI single to left and a walk. That one jammed him a bit, and it's strike 1. Cubs lead Pittsburgh 2-1 in that nightcap. They're in the bottom of the ninth now in Pittsburgh. Chicago trying to gain a split of that twin bill. 1-1. The Cubs have won 82 and lost 60. Quite a year for them. Began the day 6.5 behind St. Louis and 4 behind Pittsburgh for the wild card. Into right field. Prince Fielder's on for the third straight time with a 2-out single.
What was that stuff about Fielder hitting just above 200 for the month of September prior to last night?
Exactly. Can obliterate that stat the way he's swinging the bat so far last night and tonight. Beltre with the pop fly single off Altuve's glove in the shallow right field. 1 for 2 tonight. It's a ball 1. It's a final now in Pittsburgh. Game 2 of the twin bill went to the Cubs over the Pirates 2-1. John Lester squaring his record at 10-10. He beat Jay Happ, who's 5-2. Lester went the distance on a 5-hitter with 9 punch-outs. Foul back, and it's a 1-ball, 1-strike count. In the air and going foul, and another souvenir provided by Mr. Beltre. 1-2. Moreland is on deck. McHugh's won 10 of his last 15 starts. Pass a diving third baseman VR into the left field corner. Rasmus over to pick it up. Fielder around third. He's being sent home by Beasley, and he will score the tying run. 5-5. The throw short hop Carlos Correa. He couldn't make the pickup on it. Beltre winding up with an RBI double.
Yeah, I think with a good throw from Colby Rasmus, one that could be handled by Correa, he's got a shot at the plate. Well, again, it's about catching breaks in this game. Hit a ball right over the bag and get your hit, and it happens all the time. But when you're scuffling, that ball's just outside of the bag.
Good effort by VR.
Yeah, you can see. And Correa's got plenty of arm to be able to come to the plate on that play. Just wasn't to be. You've got to be able to get the job out with Prince Fielder there just around third base. Correa's got him dead to rights.
Joe Thatcher's in from the bullpen. It's 5-5 in the 4th inning. We'll be right back.
Go to pitcher number 2 on the night, left-hander Joe Thatcher. In his 9th year in the major leagues this year, 3.72 ERA with a 1-3 record. He's only worked 19 1/3 innings, allowing 21 hits, and only one of those has left the yard.
It's a lefty-on-lefty situation. Colin McHugh now hoping that Thatcher can come through with Beltre, the runner, at second. 2 outs. Moreland, the batter. Moreland 0 for 1, hit by a pitch. Infield playing him to pull. Thatcher delivers and gets strike 1 call.
Fundamental stuff, Brownie. Hitting the cutoff man with throws from the outfield, whatever the case may be. And the Astros are not getting it done tonight.
They did have a shot at fielder at the plate if they had executed that play. That one came close to him, and it's ball 1. 1-1. Thatcher had a 1-batter appearance in Oakland. The Astros 10-9 loss. That was a week ago last night. He walked left-handed hitting Josh Reddick, the only man he faced. That was his second appearance since rejoining the club as a September call-up. Now it's 2 balls and a strike. Another left-handed hitter, Odor, is on deck. Thatcher was designated for assignment July 21st, and later he signed a minor league contract and went to AAA Fresno before he got the call-up in September. A swing by Moreland takes the count to 2-2. Left-handed hitters are hitting .261 against Thatcher this season with 2 extra base hits. In Thatcher's career, he's allowed lefties a .233 batting average. Foul back by Moreland. The Athletics are pounding on the White Sox 15-2 in the top of the 4th inning. 3 2/3 innings for Colin. Those numbers may change. Hopefully they won't for him, because Thatcher can keep them where they are if he gets Moreland. Three balls, 2 strikes.
Watch this right shoulder here. Looks, and the elbow. Looked like Moreland was actually trying to get hit by that pitch at the last instant.
Yep. Could have been disallowed based on the umpire's discretion. If he sees the hitter throw his arm out and intentionally get hit by a pitch, he can disallow it. This will be the 8th pitch of this confrontation. Jeff Samardzija gave up 10 earned runs in 3 innings tonight for the White Sox. Rolled out to second. Altuve's there. On to Carter, and a big out for Thatcher. The Rangers tied with a run on 2 hits. They leave a man through 4. It's tied at 5. Southwest Airlines. Book your low fare now at southwest.com. And by Jack in the Box. For a limited time, try the new Portobello Mushroom Buttery Jack with melted garlic herb butter. On this breezy night in Arlington, nice evening to be outside. Here at Globe Life Park, it's 5-5. The Astros and Rangers, through 4 innings, have been slugging at each other. 9 hits for Houston, 8 for Texas. We go to the 5th inning, and Derek Holland is still in this game, facing Chris Carter. Carter with an RBI double in the 2nd, then lined to center field in the 3rd inning. He's hit the ball on the screws twice tonight. Sam Freeman is up in the bullpen. VR and Conger to follow here. So manager Jeff Bannister of the Rangers intends to stay, it would appear, with the left side, facing Carter, VR, and Conger. It's 1 ball and 1 strike to Chris.
Rare changeup from Derek Holland.
And now Ross Ollendorf, as the line drive goes foul, has joined Sam Freeman.
I think we've got one of those nights, Brownie, where everybody may get some throwing in the bullpens.
Could be Johnny Holstaff tonight, Ash.
That's the name for everybody coming on.
That's what you have in the final day of the season when teams are in contention. Everybody's available pretty much. High fly ball to left. Gallo over for it. He looks a little shaky. He's a converted third baseman. 1 out. Derek Holland this season. Chase percentage in 2015 has gone up, and his whip percentage has gone up on the slider. Been a big pitch for him this year. Josh Fields has gotten up for Houston. Jonathan VR has a single in 2 trips. VR looks at it, and it's ball 1. Remember the final day of the season, the Astros were at Wrigley Field one year in the mid-90s, and they were trying to get into the playoffs. And one of the relievers was asked, "How do you feel today? Are you available today for this game?" He said, "It doesn't matter."
Yeah, you're not saving anything at that point.
2 balls and a strike.
Derek Holland suddenly going off speed here in the 5th inning.
Andrus throws out VR. 2 outs. Name that Astro. Let's see what the guesses are. By the way, there's Matt Duffy on the rail there, the newest Astro. He might get in tonight. Kevin Cash, Brad Ausmus, and so on. 2 outs, and it's Hank Conger now. Conger with an RBI single and a double. He's been a big part of this club's offense tonight, out of the 8th spot in the order. Jake Marisnick is on deck. In for a strike. It was Mike Henneman. He had been with Detroit, and he was the pitcher who said that about it doesn't matter on the final day of the season in Chicago, as the Astros were trying to get that playoff spot back in the mid-90s. Veteran reliever.
Yeah, he wouldn't have been the first to make that statement.
No. At the 90 pitch mark, Holland falls behind 2-1 on Conger with that high breaking ball.
And Conger's making some strides as a right-handed hitter.
Gallo in left. Shields takes over. It's a 1-2-3 for Holland. It's 5-5.
to you by Progressive Insurance. 2 more here with the Texas Rangers. Big games, all of them. And you see 3 more coming up at home against the Rangers. The Angels precede Texas into town. And the Oakland A's in before both of those ball clubs. That's the final 9 games of the season at home for the Astros. And they're all big ones. 6 on the road to finish things up. 3 in Seattle, 3 in Arizona. The Astros, they're thinking about winning division right now. That's all that's on their mind.
Rougned Odor looks at ball 2, and it's 2-0 for Joe Thatcher. Colin McHugh in 3 2/3 innings, allowing 8 hits, 5 runs, walked 3, fanned 4 through 91 pitches, 55 for strikes. Thatcher came in and retired Mitch Moreland. Odor looks at it, and it's 3-0 for him. He is 1 for 2 with an RBI tonight. Andrus and Gallo to follow in the Ranger 5th. Strike 1 makes it 3-1 to Odor. Three and 2, much to the consternation of the Ranger fans behind home plate.
Thatcher comes with that slider again, up. And that's the reason for the malcontent here.
That's some out of the box thinking. Got him on strikes. So that strike 2 call was very instrumental in that strikeout for out number 1.
Slider, 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 and then up again. And Odor probably feels like I've got to go after this thing.
Sounded like you were ordering Paul Bykowski's dinner after the game tonight. It's 5-5. We'll be right back.
Join the Astros this Saturday, September 19th, as they take on the A's. 10,000 fans will receive an Evan Gattis bobblehead presented by AT&T. For more information, visit Astros.com or call 1-877-9-ASTROS. That's a must-get, guys.
That bobblehead will leave your home in runs batted in. We guarantee it. Josh Fields coming in on our AT&T call to the bullpen. For the 48th time, he's 4-1 with a 3.45 ERA.
And in those 48 appearances, 44+ innings, only 32 hits allowed. So he's been really good in that regard. The whip is just above the 1 mark. He's got some good numbers on the slate.
That is outstanding. Elvis Andrus is 1 for 2, an RBI single, walks and hits per innings pitched, averaging about 1 per inning. That is very good. And we've seen those numbers for pitchers really get spectacular the last few years with all the hard throwers in major league bullpens.
I'd say the one big area for Josh to be able to improve on is staying healthy, ready to pitch in more ball games for the team.
1-2. Well, these last 3 weeks, usage of the bullpens by these managers of teams in contention will be vital. This is Fields' 4th appearance on this road trip. It's the 8th game on the trip. Off the plate for a ball, 2-1. He's come back nicely from that horrid outing in Oakland, giving up 4 runs in 1/3 of an inning. Came in with a couple of men on base who scored as well. Coming into a 2-2 game in the 6th. In the last 2 outings, it brought scoreless baseball from Josh Fields. Ground ball in the hole. Correa, long off balance throw. Carter digs it. Tremendous play. 2 outs.
That's just insane. And it's great on both ends. But to see Carlos Correa backhand this ball moving hard toward that third base line and get rid of it so quickly. Watch this. That ball's gone out of his hands. Chris Carter's been pretty good in this regard this year. But wow. Even cameras can't keep up with Carlos Correa. Just running away from first base, making that throw.
That is one of the top plays we've seen in a while. Joey Gallo taking that pitch for ball 1. Gallo's 0 for 1 with a walk, and he stole a base. So little time for Correa to make that transfer from glove hand to bare hand and get that throw on its way. And that's where a lot of shortstops come up short on that play, no pun intended, but he just was textbook in the way he made that play. That looked like a hit all the way when it got by the diving third baseman VR.
Yeah, what's unique about Carlos Correa, though, is that he can make this play, as can some other shortstops around baseball, but he's also that big hitter on top of it, the guy that can slam the home run and kind of really be the team leader in terms of the offensive side much of the time.
Joey Gallo homered 5 times in his first 14 games with the Rangers. That's on the inside corner, 2-2. He was the first player to do that since Evan Gattis with Atlanta in 2013. 5 homers in his first 14 major league games. He's been primarily a third baseman. He has started 13 times at third for the Rangers. And a punch out on high heat from Josh Fields ends it in the 5th inning with this spectacular play from Correa and Carter for out number 2, 5-5 through 5.
no Jake in here. This is Jake Marisnick, 3 home runs here in the month of September. Trying to get into that double-digit club, and he's really close, just one shy. But he's shown that he's got plenty of power. And that one in Oakland, that was legit. He's come alive, and he's been alive for a long time defensively and on the bases.
We go to inning number 6. It's Jake Marisnick leading it off. 5-5 game. Derek Holland still in and throwing strike 1. He had a 1-2-3 fifth. We have a new left fielder, Will Venable, for Texas. Marisnick has a hit and a sacrifice bunt, which brought in a run. It's 1-1, so the 8-9 spots have been productive for the Astros lineup tonight. Conger batting 8th. 2 for 3 with an RBI and a run scored. Marisnick batting 9th, a hit, an RBI and a run scored. And if he gets on here, he's a threat to try to steal. 2 balls and a strike. Will Venable taking over in left for Joey Gallo. And Holland approaching 100 pitches here. Ohlendorf, the right-hander, is ready to come in if needed in the 6th. In tight again, and it's 3-1. Cardinals and Brewers are tied 1-1. They're in the top of the 8th at Milwaukee. Carlos Martinez pitching for St. Louis. It's 3-2. Marisnick, as you see Ohlendorf warming up, was talking about that play last night, the appeal play. He had a double last night, and the play was appealed. He reached down and touched first with his bare hand. We can see that on the replay. So the appeal didn't work for the Rangers. There's a strikeout. He said he was watching the flight of the ball and he lost track of where he was, and then he saw the base was right there, so he reached down and touched it with his hand instead of his foot.
And I've never seen a base running coach teach that. And I doubt that we ever will. But
that is the first strikeout for Holland. Unusual after the game he's had, but he's going with softer breaking stuff now. 3rd time through the order. And Springer lines one to shortstop. Andrus, 2 outs. Well, this move to bring Holland back out is paying off for Jeff Bannister.
Another good swing for George.
Oh, it's getting to be a frustrating story right now for the Astros. Line drives being caught.
Well, they've had a bunch on this road trip. Altuve is 0 for 3. His line drive to third was caught in the 4th inning with 2 men on for the 2nd out. Tony Sipp is working for the Astros. Foul for strike 1. One of those nights for the bullpens. Lots of guys will be warming up. And tied to Altuve, and it's 1-1. The Astros fell out of first place July 26th, but then against the Angels they moved right back in to the top spot. And they've been there ever since July 28th. 2 balls and a strike. The Rangers at one point were 9.5 behind the Astros. That was May 3rd when they were 8-16. They were 8 games out on August 2nd. They've come a long way to get to 1/2 game behind. Now Sam Freeman, who's warmed up about 3 or 4 times in this game, has gotten up again alongside Ohlendorf. And quite often when that's been the case, when a pitcher's warmed up 3 or 4 times, he's going to be used maybe for 1 batter, and the manager's not going to ask a whole lot more than that of him. Altuve with a slow bouncer hits a foul ball, and sometimes it's just for a decoy. The manager really does not have intention of using a pitcher, but he'll get him up to decoy the other team into thinking that he has a left-hander ready to go. Bobby Dynamite's coming this way, not in the train, but he'll be up at the helm of the train when the Astros get back. He'll be the engineer on Friday night, as always, at Minute Maid Park. So the helm would be a ship, so it wouldn't be the helm of the train. Altuve once again, and he does this all the time with 2 strikes. He comes up, he invents a little stroke to foul off a tough pitch. He can't hit it anywhere fair, but he can foul it.
He's got a stroke for any pitch.
It's amazing.
It really is. So what is that area for the engineer?
Not sure.
We'll have to delve on that one. Yeah.
Altuve once again forces Holland to throw him another one.
I'm going to go with Cab.
Cab, okay. This will be the 8th pitch. The way the Rangers rotation is lined up, when they come to Houston, Hamels and Holland will pitch the first 2 games of that weekend series, 25th, 26th. In the air to right field. Chu backing on it. Chu will not be able to catch this. That bangs off the right field wall. It kicks by him, and Altuve's going to try to get to third. Here's the long throw from Chu to the shortstop. It's cut off, and that's a triple for Altuve. Second triple of the year. He hit that ball very hard with 2 strikes in the count.
That is just simply impressive.
Jeff Bannister is going to make a move here with Correa coming up.
Jeff Bannister has one of the really deliberate walks to the mound of all the managers in baseball. But look at this high pitch being driven to right field and almost getting out. And then the daring to be able to take on Shin-Soo Choo, who has already shown he can really throw. What a valuable player.
Ross Ohlendorf is coming in. It's 5-5 in the 6th. Back in a moment. Altuve, 2-2 pitch, Ash.
Look at his eyes. If you look at nothing else, look at the eyes through this entire sequence. And now he's asking himself, is this getting out? Maybe not. I better dig.
4th extra base hit for the Astros. Ross Ohlendorf comes in 12 games with the Rangers, 2-0 with 5 holds at 2.38 ERA.
A couple of home runs allowed in 11 innings.
Carlos Correa has a double. He's 1 for 2 with an intentional walk. Altuve at third with 2 outs in a 5-5 game in the 6th. And the breaking pitch is ball 1. Ohlendorf is 33 years old. He's been with Arizona, the Yankees, Pittsburgh. and a well-traveled career. He was born in Houston, went to Princeton University. He throws ball 2, and it's 2 balls, no strikes, with Altuve edging off third.
Just for educational purposes, it apparently is a cab that an engineer sits in. So
it is a cab.
Yeah.
Okay. Very good. So Bobby Dynamite might be taking a cab up here after all. And for a strike, and it's 2-1 to Correa. Ollendorf's mother Patty worked at UT for years.
Talk about right over the top. Right now, nice hitting zone, but that's 12-6.
Upstairs, it's 3-1. Ollendorf, with his contract being purchased from Round Rock September 1st, has worked 3 2/3 scoreless innings since he joined the Rangers. This is his second stint with them. He was with them mid-May through early June as well. Little tap to shortstop. Andrews to end the Astros 6th with no runs, a hit and a man left. It's 5-5.
September 15th, 1996. The Rangers retired their first number in franchise history when they honor the number 34 of Nolan Ryan. In 5 years with the Rangers, Ryan pitched 2 no-hitters and won his 300th game and on to 324. Man. And the Astros, of course, blessed to have him around these days.
He's well remembered at several spots.
Statue has a mind of its own.
See his numbers retired in Houston, here, and Anaheim. Josh Fields working to Jimenez. He gets a foul ball. There's strike 1. Jimenez is 0 for 3, lined to shortstop in the first and struck out in the third. Texas got 4 in the first off Colin McHugh. The Astros answered with 3 in the second. And then in the 4th inning, both teams scored. The Astros got 2 to go up briefly 5-4, but Texas tied it in the bottom of the 4th. Breaking pitch makes it 0-2 to Jimenez.
Pretty filthy slider right here. Starts it like a fastball down in the lower portion of the strike zone and then just snaps it off.
In the air to right field. Springer headed back, still going, now turning at the track. Ranger fans were trying to wish that one deeper, but it's out number 1.
Bring that good slider, you get a weak swing, and then you figure, well, he's got to be looking for it, and try to come back and slip a fastball by, and
Some hitters just are not going to get off that fastball.
Jimenez, for his limited playing time, has a .533 slugging percentage. DeShields is 1 for 3. Josh Fields, a power arm. Pitcher number 3 tonight for the Astros. Colin McHugh went 3 2/3, allowing 8 hits and 5 runs. Joe Thatcher 2/3 of an inning, no hits, no runs, with a strikeout. Time was called before that pitch. And DeShields is taking responsibility and by tapping himself on the chest, letting Fields know, hey, I called for that. Well, we knew that, but I think he's sort of apologizing for doing it so late, right?
Yeah, I don't think that's fair on a pitcher.
And the umpire does not have to grant the hitter time when it's that late. Yeah. He doesn't have to give him time.
Oftentimes doesn't, and more than that shouldn't. I feel that it's just too late. The pitcher's already into that move toward the plate.
Foul ball makes it a 1-ball, 1-strike count with Chu on deck. This Astros bullpen continues to have the second lowest ERA in the American League, 2.96. Scott Kazmir, the Astros starter last night, went 7. That pitch comes in high for ball 2, and then Oliver Perez worked 1/3 of an inning. Will Harris was the losing pitcher. He pitched to 3 batters, gave up the 2-run homer to Fielder. Tony Sipp worked to 2 batters last night. Out to center field. Marisnik heads in for it, lays out for it, and he traps it against his body. It's a hit for DeShields. Great effort by Marisnik, as always.
Yeah, if anybody can make that play, it's Jake Marisnik. Let's see. Boy, don't know if that ball hit ground first before going into the glove. Let's see. Might be able to tell here. He might have got that into the web of the glove, but as he slid, I think the web got pulled back by the ground.
That's the way it looked. Tony Sipp is coming in. It's 5-5. Back in a moment. In the 6th inning, very enjoyable ball game tonight. Tony Sipp is pitcher number 4 for the Astros. In 52 games, he's 2-4 with 10 holds and a 2.11 ERA.
When Tony's been healthy and able to pitch, that nice ERA that you mentioned, Brownie, it sets him up as a valuable guy out of the bullpen.
He's pitching for the 3rd straight game. Last night, he worked 1/3 of an inning, giving up 1 hit, no runs. Has a long string of successful appearances. Chad Qualls is working in the bullpen now. He probably will not be staying in too long, but back-to-back left-handed hitters are coming up, Chu and Fielder, and that's why Sipp is in this game. even though statistically he's even more effective against right-handed batters. Sip is the 7th different pitcher to work in this game, both teams combined. He throws to first. DeShields stole a base in the first inning, his 23rd of the year. The Rangers have 3 steals tonight. They've been testing Hank Conger. Conger has thrown out 1 of 39 this year. In the air, and Marisnick goes for it back into right center field with the running grab. And then he turns and fires back in towards second base. Ball hit right on the bag. It's backed up. You talk about accuracy now. On the dead run with a spin move, he fires right on the bag at second. Altuve couldn't quite get there in time to catch it, but that was right on the money.
Yeah, so what's going on when an outfielder's trying to throw to second base, hits the bag, and nobody's able to make the play?
Makes you wonder.
Backed up by VR alertly. Good catch. Now it's Fielder. Fielder's been on all 3 times, 2 singles and a walk. Sip is not allowed to run in his last 19 appearances. The runner at first, of course, will be charged to Fields. And there's strike 1 for Tony. Tony has pitched 1/3 of an inning in each of his previous 2 games, so working here on the 3rd straight day. It's that stretch of important games for the Astros, and wanting to get matchups. A.J. Hinch goes back to him. Last night, Sip came in and retired Shin-Soo Choo in the 8th inning, and then he left the game. Will Harris came in. Beltre singled. Fielder hit a 2-run homer. Fouled straight back, 0-2, and we saw a lot of questioning of the managerial bullpen moves on Twitter after the game last night. Some of the media folks were talking about it, and one of the longtime media folks around Houston made the comment, well, I guess baseball is alive and well in Houston then. And that's what you get this time of year in pennant races. Fans who suggest that certain moves should be made, and they didn't like other moves that were made.
Yeah, I would suggest you might want to take a closer look at some of the numbers.
Runner going, swing and a miss, and a strikeout to end the 6th inning with no runs, a hit, and a man left. Through 6, it's 5-5.
To you by your local Honda dealer. Your clues brother pitching for Detroit. Gold Glove Awards. It's Tony Pena, who finished up his career as a Houston Astro. Many years. A catcher, known for that unorthodox squat behind home plate.
Yeah.
We just saw him, I think, in New York, didn't we?
Yes, we did. First base coach of the Yankees. Good memory. Evan Gattis is in the box. Ross Ohlendorf is on the mound. And inning number 7 is about to begin with this game tied at 5. The Astros have out hit the Rangers 10-9. Houston has the only error. Each team has stranded 7 base runners. Gattis had the 2-run single, giving the Astros the lead 5-4 in the 4th inning. Ohlendorf for the old-fashioned windup.
It was.
And strike 1.
Walks and fires.
That used to be common, though, Ash.
Yep.
Why isn't it common anymore?
I imagine with the ability to look at tape and find out exactly what the body does under certain conditions, that it's just been refined like everything else.
All that motion, is it deemed to be wasted motion now?
Maybe.
Is that why pitchers are more compact?
So Don Drysdale had it wrong all those years.
People are still driving 56 Buicks, Ash.
Yep. Look at this.
In for a strike. 1-2. Warren Spahn had that big arm motion like Ohlendorf, even bigger. High leg kick. Guys like Bob Buell, yeah, they started the arms, brought him back behind like Ohlendorf does, and then way up above their heads. A lot of action. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Yeah, and yet you still see certain pitchers from the stretch in particular have some very unorthodox, unnecessary moves with the stretch.
True.
So it's all about feel, I guess. See the balls in the glove there in that initial portion of the turbo move.
Ohlendorf is featuring a lot of breaking stuff. And he struck him out. 1 out of the 7th inning. Lefty Sam Freeman has been getting ready again. He's probably throwing more pitches than anybody in this ballpark tonight.
Well, that pitch wound up nowhere close. I wonder how impactful all that movement and the delivery might be for the hitter.
Yeah. Looks as if Sam Freeman is actually going to get in this baseball game. He's been warming up throughout the game, it seems, anyway, and Jeff Bannister is going to go to him with Rasmus coming up next. It's 5-5. We're back in a moment. comes in. We have no idea what his pitch count was in his warm-ups in the bullpen, but it's got to be pretty high. In 50 games, he has a 2.75 ERA.
Must have been at least 90 pitches, so I think he's down to 10 here for his outing. Houston area product in his 4th year in the major leagues.
Went to Kansas University, and the St. Louis Cardinals drafted him in the 32nd round in 08. Last year, he pitched 44 times for the Redbirds. Freeman will face Colby Rasmus. Colby has a walk, a single, and a fly ball to center field in his 3 trips. Freeman has given up runs in 1 of his last 13 games, 2 earned runs allowed in 10 2/3 innings. He pitched in 7 straight games in July. There's ball 1. That was the longest streak by a Texas pitcher since Dale Mohorsic in '86. Mohorsic set a major league record by appearing in 13 straight games. It's 2 balls, no strikes. Longest streak by an American League pitcher since Minnesota's Eddie Guardado, 8 in a row in August of '98. That's a pretty good string for a relief pitcher. Foul back by Rasmus. It's a 2-ball, 1-strike count.
Hey, you implied early in the game that there was no shot at any foul ball getting back to us. That one got right up and over us.
Okay, cancel that then. Do you remember exactly what inning that was?
No, but I can tell you it was almost 3 hours ago.
Okay. In for a strike, and it's 2-2. The Twins are making things more interesting at home. They got 2 in the home 7th inning. The Tigers lead them 4-3 in the top of the 8th. In a very impactful game on the wild card race in the American League. Rasmus takes, and it's 3-2 to Colby. Freeman's last outing was 3 days ago against Oakland. He went 2/3 of an inning. He's retired the first batter he faces 36 of 50 times. And not this time. A walk to Rasmus. That was nowhere close. And we'll see if he stays in to face Carter now. Carter is 1 for 3, an RBI double in the 2nd inning. He lined out deep to center field in the 3rd as well. And then hit a fly ball to left. He's had a good swing in this game despite very little playing time recently. Jonathan Villar is on deck. Strike 1 to Carter. It's 1-1.
Watching Carter take a look down at the third base coach for signals makes me think, when's the last time, other than a take sign, Chris Carter has ever seen a sign from the third base coach? He's not going to be asked to bunt. Hit and run seems out of the question.
Yes, it does.
You want me to crush one, huh? Okay.
Rasmus drawing a lot of attention here from Freeman. Ohlendorf worked 2/3 of an inning, allowing no hits, no runs, with 1 strikeout. Astros have used 4 pitchers. The Rangers now using their 3rd of the night. Holland threw 106 pitches, 64 for strikes. Freeman that time just step back and look over.
changeup, and Carter just simply out in front.
Carter looks at ball 2. Last night's crowd here was 27,772. Rangers have been averaging about 30,000 per game in home attendance. The exact figure is 30,171. Another throw goes over. This divisional schedule certainly is working the way the powers that be wanted it to work here for pennant races in September. 7 games between the Astros and the Rangers, starting last night. Carter started the bat. The appeal went down to first, and he is rung up by Gabe Morales. 2 outs.
I don't think Carter agrees. Let's see if we do. Yeah, that bat got out there and beyond the front of the plate.
Jonathan VR is next. VR is 1 for 3. He singled and scored in the 2nd inning. Playing third base for the injured Jed Lowry tonight. We're not sure if Lowry is available to pinch hit. VR looks at ball 1. Scott Kazmir there, last night's starter. Dallas Keuchel, tomorrow night's starter. Preston Tucker. Big cut by VR, and it's 1-1.
I like it. He's got some pop from this side, some serious pop.
Ground ball to third. Beltre comes up with it to end the Astros 7th. No runs, no hits, and a man stranded. 5-5.
Tied here all at 5 between the Astros and the Rangers. When the Astros win, you win. Every time the Astros win on a Tuesday, you get $50. 30% off your pizza order on Wednesday at Papa John's. Use promo code Astros at papajohns.com. Matt Duffy awaits his Major League debut. We don't know when we're going to see Duffy, but he's sure excited about being here. He thought he was going to Round Rock to be in that, or to compete in that PCL championship that's going on starting tonight, but got the call, joined the big league club. We'll see how A.J. Hinch uses him over the next few days if he gets in there. Guys.
Pacific Coast League MVP Matt Duffy, 26 years old. Chad Qualls is in the game, facing Adrian Beltre, and throwing strike one. 5-5 in the 7th inning. Beltre has driven in 2 of the 5 for Texas, going 2 for 3 tonight. Qualls is 2-4. His ERA is 4.08. Tony Sipp retired both men he faced with a strikeout. Into center field, a leadoff single for Beltre, his 3rd hit. It's aboard and Moreland to follow. Moreland is 0 for 2 and was hit by a pitch. Qualls got his 2nd win of the year on Sunday. That miraculous come from behind win over the Angels. He worked 2/3 of an inning, didn't give up a hit or a run. The Astros won it with 5 in the 9th.
Adrian Beltre has stolen just 1 bag in 1 try this year, but I wonder if at some point Texas might not try for a 4th stolen base.
In the air to left field, Rasmus over with the grab. 1 out. Well, the thinking is that Qualls is a strong ground ball pitcher, so try to stay out of a double play. But Moreland hit the first pitch. Beltre was not running, and now it's Odor batting. And also throwing issue we talked about earlier. Odor is 1 for 3 with an RBI in this game. Chad Qualls is closing in on Brad Lidge for appearances in an Astros uniform. Qualls is in 6th place. This is his 375th appearance. Brad Lidge wound up in 5th place with 378 in his 6-year career. Ball 1 to Odor. This Andrus on deck. Good relief tonight for the Astros. Thatcher, Fields, Sipp, all pitching scoreless baseball. Now Qualls hoping to continue that with the 8, 9, and 1 hitters, 2 up in the 8th for Houston. Line shot into right. Springer fires toward 3rd. Beltre into 2nd on the single by Odor. He's 2 for 4. Gary Hillman talking there on the bench. Rich Dower, the first base coach. Elvis Andrus is 1 for 3, an RBI single back in that 4-run Texas first. Right-hander Sam Dyson is up in the Ranger bullpen.
The Astros have turned 1 double play tonight. Wouldn't be a bad time for another.
There's strike 1. Qualls with that sinker is one of those ground ball specialists. He ranks 5th in the American League among relievers in ground ball percentage. 62.3% of the time he's getting a ground ball and the ball's hit. He had some serious sink there. 0-2. And we saw this with Kevin Brown and other guys, Ash. You well remember sometimes that sinker is so late and sharp moving that it'll not be a ground ball. It'll be a swing and a miss instead.
Yeah, in fact, with Kevin Brown, you were talking about mid-90s plus velocity with that thing.
Good block by Conger. 1-2 to Andrus. Angels lead at Seattle 3-1. They're at the end of the 3rd inning now. Nick Tropiano pitching for Los Angeles. Felix Hernandez for Seattle. Nelson Cruz hit his 42nd homer. David Murphy, number 9 of the year for the Angels, off King Felix. Tap foul. That would put Felix Hernandez in line to pitch here this weekend against the Rangers on Sunday if he stays on 4 days rest. Astros will be meeting Oakland at home over the weekend. Will Venable is on deck. Andrews takes it. It's a close one. 2-2.
How far did that bat go?
Another good question.
I cannot believe the Astros didn't ask for a check on that swing, but that pitch was there as well. Man. Talk about things when they're going your way and when they're not.
Yep. And he fouls it. Staying alive at 2-2. Cardinals and Brewers are in the top of the 10th, tied at 1 in Milwaukee. This will be the 7th pitch Andrews sees in this at bat. Chris Davis hit his 21st homer tonight for Milwaukee. Now 3-2.
Well, how frisky do the Rangers feel right here? Do they put runners in motion or just play it straight up?
I think they're going to put them in motion. Runners do not go. It's a ground ball to third. VR stepping on the bag, throwing to first. Double play to end the 7th. No runs, 2 hits, and a man stranded. We move to the 8th in a 5-5 game.
Keep up with the pennant races in true HD quality on MLB.TV Premium. Watch every out-of-market game live on more than 400 supported devices. Real-time highlights, live look-ins, pitch tracking, widget, and more. Visit MLB.TV today.
Quite a game tonight. It looked like it would be a very high-scoring game in the early stages. It's settled down now. No runs have been scored since the 4th. It's 5-5 moving to the 8th inning. Sam Freeman still in. And throwing strike one to Hank Conger, who has 2 hits tonight, an RBI and a run scored. Freeman came in the 7th inning, walking Rasmus and striking out Carter, getting VR on a ground ball. He's pitcher number 3 of the night for Texas, and it's 1-1. Dallas Keuchel starting tomorrow night, and some of the fans from Keuchel's Corner will be making the trip here from Houston. Got an email from Ryan Smith about that. They'll be in section 11, rows 10 through 17, wearing their Keuchel gear. 2 balls and a strike. So we'll be looking for them. Sam Dyson is warming up. And those folks should know that they have Dollar Hot Dog Night here on Wednesday nights, just as we do at Minute Maid Park. 3 balls and a strike. Marisnick on deck. Springer due up 3rd here in the 8th. The paid attendance is 26,942. Tampa Bay beat the Yankees 6-3. Jake Odorizzi the winner. He's 8-8. That's a strike, and it's 3-2 to Conger. Taking all the way.
Well, if Hank reaches to start this inning, you'd have to be tempted to pinch run here.
True. He doesn't reach. Strikeout number 2 for Freeman. Number 4 of the night for the Rangers staff.
You can see that one's just right down the gut. And I'm not sure what had Hank off on the timing there.
Jeff Bannister will make a move now after Freeman gave him 1 inning, allowing no hits, no runs with 1 walk, 2 strikeouts. He'll go to right-hander Sam Dyson for Marisnick, and then Springer and Altuve, Correa, Gaddis. A string of right-handed hitters coming up next. It's 5-5. We'll be right back. Their teams battle for first place here tonight. In the 8th inning, 1 out, nobody on. Sam Dyson in our AT&T call to the bullpen. Very effective right-hander. 17 holds, 5 wins, 4 losses, a 3.05 ERA. Ash.
He's been a workhorse. 64 games at this point. He'll allow just over a hit an inning, but he keeps the ball in the ballpark. A half a home run per 9 innings. So I guess you could maybe more rightly say a home run every 18 innings is what he's allowing.
He's been quite a surprise. Drafted by Toronto in the 4th round in 2010. Rangers got him in a trade. Tomas Teles and another player going to Toronto in the deal in July for Sam Dyson. He's pitched effectively twice against the Astros. Preston Tucker's the pinch hitter for Jake Marisnick. He has 2 pinch hit homers this season. And chops that one foul, strike 1. Kidding him about don't get too good at pinch hitting. You know how that thing goes, Ash. And he said, "Oh, I don't like the job at all. It's very difficult." He is 3 for 8 with 2 homers, 4 runs batted in. Pinch hitting this year, though.
Want to stay in the big leagues, do a good job as a pinch hitter. You want to stay a pinch hitter, do a good job as a pinch hitter.
And 2.
Tough assignment.
Julia.
Brownie, you guys talking about him being a pinch hitter. He said it's definitely something he's had to get used to. Not ordinary at all for this guy who's been an everyday player, especially in the minor league level. But he said usually starts to get hotter on the 4th or 5th. He never knows when his name's going to be called these days.
Well, he hit a solo homer in the 9th against the Angels Sunday. Little chop. Elvis Andrus. 2 outs. And George Springer will bat. George had a single in the 1st inning leading off the game. He was hit by a pitch in the 2nd. Hit the ball well in the 6th inning, lining out to shortstop. We talked last night about how this Texas bullpen has been remade on the fly during the season. Dyson is one of the key components in those changes. 20 games with Texas with those outstanding numbers you saw. And that's ball 1. He came from Miami in that trade. He had been with Toronto earlier and was traded to Miami, but Rangers got him in the deal with the Marlins. Foul by Springer, and it's 1-1. Well, this is similar to last night's game, which was tied 3-3 going to the 8th. Now 5-5 in the 8th. The Astros had a 2-out triple in the 6th by Altuve. They have not scored since the 4th. On the 2-run single by Gaddis in the top of the 4th, they took a 5-4 lead, but the Rangers tied it in the bottom of the 4th on a Beltre double.
When was the last Springer dinger? June 30th.
Well, he was out for weeks with a broken wrist. And then everybody was wondering what would his timing be like when he came back. And it takes some time, as we saw with Jed Lowry, to get that stroke back together. 2-2.
George has taken some pitches in this upper portion of the strike zone since he's come back that certainly could have been called.
He flicks that one off the screen. The Angels leading 3-1 at Seattle in the top of the 4th inning would be the beneficiary if they can win tonight, gaining a game on whoever loses this one. In the dirt, ball 3. Full count on Springer. That was quite a devastating loss for the Angels when the Astros beat them on Sunday, but they're 4.5 behind Houston right now, 4 behind Texas. So still not out of it. And they have games remaining with both of these clubs. Springer's down on strikes to end the top of the 8th, and it's 5-5. Presented by Southwest Airlines. Book your low fare now at southwest.com. And by HEB. No store does more than my HEB. It's 5-5 here at Globe Life Park in Arlington, Texas. We go to the bottom of the 8th inning. Changes for A.J. Hinch. Preston Tucker staying in the game, playing left field. He pinch hit for Jake Marisnick. Colby Rasmus has moved to center field from left. And pitcher number 6 for the Astros is Pat Neshek.
60th outing on the year now for Pat. That ERA has bumped over the 3 mark. 7 home runs allowed.
Neshek faces Venable. First time up for Will Venable, taking strike 1. Venable, a 195 hitter with no homers, 2 runs batted in for 41 at bats with the Rangers, was with the Padres. Off-speed pitch flared foul. 0-2. Venable had 283 at bats with San Diego, hitting .258 there, 6 homers, 30 runs batted in. Jimenez is due up next. Into center field. A single for Venable. Lefty Oliver Perez is warming up for Houston.
Just find a hole time. Ground ball right by the mound. Neshek not in a good fielding position. It winds up costing him.
Now runner at first, nobody out. Jimenez 0 for 3. The shift is on. Wide open right side of the infield. Bunting, he gets it down first base line for Carter. They'll just toss it to Neshek for the out at first. Sacrifice bunt, Venable to second, 1 out.
I think Carter realistically should have just kept coming and applied the tag, and rather than turn and throw back toward first base. That's a little risky.
Venable at second, and DeShields is the batter. DeShields is 2 for 4 tonight. Neshek worked a scoreless inning on Friday against the Angels, working around a walk. He gets strike 1 on DeShields. Chu is due up next. Nobody in the on-deck circle right now. And now he's coming out. Rangers 3 for 11 with runners in scoring position tonight. Foul back, and it's 0-2.
There's a guy, Adrian Beltro, who keeps it very loose on that Rangers side.
The Rangers are warming up their closer. Sean Tollison closed out last night's game. Foul ball off Conger.
I think pretty much got pummeled last night, and it's another dose here. Yeah. Man.
Rangers have been in second place in the AL West for the last 24 days. Prior to that, they were in third. Now they're knocking on the door. Neshek checks the runner, gets to Shields. 2 outs. And now it's Shin-Soo Choo coming up. The fielder on deck, but A.J. Hinch may want to make a move here. As lefty Oliver Perez warming up. He will go lefty on lefty. With 2 outs and a runner at second. Game on the line here, tied 5-5. In the 8th, it'll be Perez versus Chu in just a moment. Game. 3 relievers have worked for Texas. And now pitcher number 7, reliever number 6 of the night for the Astros is Oliver Perez.
El Tiante Jr., 13 years in the major leagues now. As a member of the Astros in 11 games, ERA at 6.43, 10 hits allowed in 7 innings. A couple of those hits went for the distance. And now time to get a big out.
Will Harris is up in the bullpen as Chu bats. Chu is 1 for 3 with a walk. Perez retired the only man he faced last night. This man on a grounder to third base. He throws strike 1. Fielder on deck. Perez came from Arizona on August 7th in a trade for a minor league left-handed pitcher, Junior Garcia. Left-handed hitters are hitting 184 against him this year. Way outside, Connor's able to stop it, and the count goes to 1-1. Joe Thatcher came in the 4th inning, and then Tony Sipp worked 2/3 of an inning. Perez is the 3rd lefty reliever used tonight by A.J. Hinch. Two balls and a strike. Perez worked in the Oakland series September 9th. This is his 3rd outing on this road trip. He falls behind 3-1 on Chu. It's a full count. Detroit's batting in the top of the 9th, leading Minnesota 4-3. Little tap keeps him alive, and HOU still at 3 balls, 2 strikes. This will be the 7th pitch Perez has thrown to HOU. He hits one to Carter, foul. A high bouncer. Whoops. She can't reach it. Now she can. How to finish him off. They talk about it.
Pretty involved.
It really was. I was going to ask you what you thought they might be saying.
Usually, if you're actually talking about what you want to do there, it comes down to one pitch the pitcher wants the catcher to know.
All away again. Catcher wouldn't try to talk him out of that one pitch if he had conviction, would he?
I wouldn't say he would never, because the catcher's watching over the course of a ball game, or a couple of games right now for Hank Conger, and he might have a real strong feel about a hitter.
Would you always, if you were the catcher, ask the pitcher first what he wanted to do, or would you suggest something first?
You know, it depends on who that pitcher is, what kind of success level he's having. You know, you'd be foolish to tell Nolan Ryan or Mike Scott in his heyday, here's what you need to throw. But at the same time, when you're working with those guys a lot, you get a feel. You get as much of a feel for what's working as they do, and you typically know it just kind of goes hand in hand.
Fly ball out to right center field. A long run here for Rasmussen. Springer. Rasmus gets there as it held up long enough for out number 3. No runs, 1 hit, 1 man left. We go to the 9th. 5-5. Morales endorses this boomstick.
one ladle of chili is not enough to throw on that bad boy.
It's good for a family of 12.
Stick a little vat of cheese on there and you got yourself something. For a bat and a half.
All of a sudden I'm hungry.
Well, if it gets to be about the 14th inning, we might think about it, Julia.
I might be able to finish that by then.
We're going to the ninth. Here's the closer, Sean Tollison, 5-3, 32 of 34 in saves, but now it's a tie game. And the Rangers have their 3-4-5 hitters due up in the bottom of the ninth as Altuve bats and takes strike one. Altuve is 1 for 4 in this game. Dyson worked 2/3 of an inning, allowing no hits, no runs with a strikeout. So the idea here for Mr. Jeff Bannister is for his closer to pitch a scoreless top of the ninth, and his club wins it in the bottom of the ninth. The Astros would love to turn the tables here with the count going to 1-1. But Tollison, who's a closer for the first time in his career, has been as good as any this year. Only 2 blown saves. He got save number 32 last night. One hopper. Beltre knocks it down and throws offline, and it looked like that ball got hung up in the lights for him. And that gives Altuve a chance to reach. It's an error on Beltre.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what happened. One of the game's great third basemen, and he went to battling right about here. He can get rid of the ball so quickly, but one of the rare times you'll see it offline. And good for Jose Altuve hustling down the line.
That is a gift.
And now speed aboard.
Carlos Correa, the batter, 1 for 3 with an intentional walk. 15th error for Beltre, 106th by the Rangers. And it's strike one. Every Astros player in the starting lineup now has been on base in this game. Tollison has been nothing but effective against the Astros, except for one game in Houston. He got the save, but he gave up a 2-run homer to Hank Conger in that game. Pitches outside to Correa, and it's 1-1. Tollison has made 8 appearances against the Astros this year, giving up those 2 runs total. Since May 20th, when he took over as the closer, he has the most saves in the American League. Altuve draws the throw. Jose leads the American League in steals with 37. He's been caught 12 times. The save percentage of Tollison is tied for second in the league, 94%, but his mission here is to keep it a tie game. Correa bounces one. Here's Odor getting it to second, and a low throw there forces Altuve, but no chance at a double play. 1 out and a runner at first.
In this 2-game series to this point, the Rangers have made some errant throws, but they have done a heck of a job on the other end handling those throws. Nice job by Andrews on a ball that easily could have gone into left field. Correa might have taken the first strike in that sequence. As good a pitch as you'll see in any big scenario.
Evan Gattis with the 2-run single in the 4th inning with the bases loaded gave the Astros the lead 5-4. He's 1 for 4. Rangers got 4 in the first, and the Astros clawed their way back into it with 3 in the second. Then the Gattis hit in the 4th put them in front briefly, but Beltre doubled in the bottom of the 4th to tie it. It has stayed tied ever since the 4th inning. Foul for strike one.
Big gap between Shin-Soo Choo in right field and the right field line, and it looked like Gattis was taking a shot.
Gattis did not face Tollison last night. Altuve was forced Correa back in at first there, and just checking the outfielders, they are really, really deep. So their mission to prevent a ball over their heads and try and prevent Correa from scoring. Gaddis takes it. It's 1-1. And that means more room in front of them for a hit. Rasmus is on deck. And another throw drives back Correa. Correa with 12 steals in 15 attempts is certainly somebody who's attracted attention to other clubs as a potential base stealer. Gaddis takes it, and it's 2-1.
Ooh, there was a little footwork there by Phil Cuzzy, the home plate umpire, that says, I'm going to call this. No, I'm not. Watch his feet get into. Oh, there. That right foot was shifting back for the right arm to go up.
Borderline. Gaddis on a high pitch, chops it out towards second. Odor for the force play against Correa. 2 outs.
I don't know if Correa had to stop as he did to enable that baseball to not hit him, but because he did stop, he gave Odor a shot to get that lead out. I don't know if he could have gotten that ball behind him. If he had done so, I think Correa would be standing at second. Pretty smart play by Odor, seeing what took place in front.
Yes. Rasmus has a hit and 2 walks tonight. Carter's on deck. In for strike one, a 77-mile-per-hour pitch from Tollefson. Tollefson was born here in Dallas, went to Baylor University, drafted by the Dodgers, and he was a waiver claim by Texas after the 2013 season. Last year, a setup man, pitched 64 times, had 7 holds, no saves last year. Bouncer to first, and Moreland has it to end the top of the 9th. It's 5-5.
Presented by Houston Methodist. That'll be with Kevin Eschenfelder and Mike Stanton.
Quite a game here tonight for the second straight night in this 4-game series. These two teams have fought into the late innings on even terms. Prince Fielder will lead it off. Beltre and Moreland to follow in the Ranger 9th inning against Oliver Perez. Fielder is 2 for 3 with a walk. Here's what happened last night against Orioles. Fielder in the bottom of the 8th. Game-winning 2-run homer, 5-3 Texas.
Yes, Prince Fielder's done it enough times to know when he gets one, but
That did not get out by a whole lot. And just another one of those tooth and nail games.
There's strike one. Perez came in to get HOU for the final out in the 8th inning. Had Neshek in 2/3 of an inning. One hit, no runs, with no walks, no strikeouts. Perez is pitcher number 7 for Houston. It's 1-1. These two clubs not only dueling on even terms here in this series, but their AAA affiliates are beginning the PCL championships, and they're tied 8-8 in the 9th at Round Rock. 2 balls and a strike. Fresno has come on in the late innings, scoring 1 in the 6th, 2 in the 7th, and 4 in the 8th after trailing 7-1 following the 5th. Two and two. One-handed swing there by Fielder.
Sweeping that slider. Steady diet of off the outside corner.
All of the fans are standing. Punched on a line into left field. Leadoff single for Fielder.
Well, we've talked about it a few times tonight, but another case of, I've thrown him slider after slider. I'm going to slip a fastball by. And the fastball didn't get by. And again, what Prince Fielder can do along with hit the long ball, he can sting it the other way so nicely.
A.J. Hinch has come out. Will Harris has been warming up in the bullpen. Oliver Perez leaving now. It's 5-5. Fielder at first. Nobody out. Bottom of the 9th. Back in a moment. Placed the leadoff man aboard, and now the pinch runner Drew Stubbs comes in for Fielder, who got that line drive hit. Stubbs has been 82% successful in stealing bases throughout the course of his career. The Astros are calling on Will Harris. He's 5-4 with a 1.70 ERA. Ash?
Will Harris, to go along with that potential running game, has allowed 7 stolen bases in 7 tries this year. So that would obviously favor the Rangers for the moment. 4th year in the major leagues for Will.
Facing Beltre. Adrian Beltre 3 for 4 tonight. 2 runs batted in. Beltre with a line shot into left center field. In for a hit. Rasmus playing very deep. They'll throw into second base. Stubbs gets to third, and it's first and third, nobody out for the Rangers.
There's some guys who have done it very well for a long time. Prince Fielder and Adrian Beltre coming up with hits here in the ninth inning. Just no way to prevent the man from moving to third.
Now Mitch Moreland is the batter. Astros bring the outfielders in. First and third, nobody out. Moreland is 0 for 3. He was hit by a pitch. The infielders come in close. And there's ball one. Rougned Odor on deck. Rangers have 6 walk-off wins this season. They have won 16 times in their final at bat. With a runner going, there's a fly ball to center. Rasmus with the catcher. Stubbs tagging, coming to the plate. The throw is offline, and the Rangers win it. The Texas Rangers have moved into first place.
Well, they just did it right there in that ninth inning, Brownie. The leadoff single that comes from Fielder, and then Beltre comes through with one to have the pinch runner to move all the way up. And you just get the ball in the air. Moreland gets that portion of the inning done.
The Mako big hit of the game, showing you how the Rangers win this one in the bottom of the ninth.
Yeah, Moreland, he's been a big part of the offense. You don't hear a lot about this guy, but he gets just enough here. You wonder if you had Jake Marisnick and his arm out there in center, what the outcome might have been. But that speed of Stubbs, exactly what Texas needed.
Texas now moving to 77 and 67, a half game in front of Houston, which is 77 and 68. Rangers capture the first 2 games of this 4-game series. The Astros have Dallas Keuchel pitching tomorrow night as they hope to regain first place. Final score here, Rangers 6, Astros 5.